Round one action continues at the MCG on a beautiful Melbourne afternoon. North Melbourne taking on Melbourne as we see the Roos hitting the field here. Always great to be involved in round one action. We saw yesterday a lot of players cramping late in the game. Well, it's a warm day here at the MCG, so you would think the Roos, there'd be plenty of players there that are getting the fluids in. As we see the Demons take the ground, a very, very big off season for Melbourne. We know that they've signed some big sponsorships. Jimmy Stein's doing a wonderful job, and a very young team in this afternoon. As I say, welcome to Lee Colbert and Danny Frawley, and boys, a lot of Melbourne people here.
Well, it's the Ian Ridley, Tiger Ridley tribute day. Varley, what an absolute champion player he was. 5 premierships. He was a president, football director, and have a look at the Melbourne players. They're pretty pumped. And as you said, great expectation for both teams, but isn't it exciting to see 4 youngsters debuting for the Melbourne Footy Club today, Colby?
Yeah, and I can't wait to see the big fella, Jake Spencer. He's a monster of a kid, and he's got a bit of grunt about him, boys.
He certainly has. Let's have a look at the team lineups here for Melbourne. As we mentioned, and we'll keep mentioning it because they are a young squad, but there's still some quality and the more experienced players in this team, Spud.
I like Jared Rivers back there. I think there's no doubt he'll double team Hale in the ruck, and you've got Warnock and Frawley there, Garland also. So I think they're the makings of a very good midfield. McLean, let's look for a big year from him, and obviously the skipper, McDonald, but the newcomers, Spencer, Jetta, Bennell, those type of players there, and Shaney on the half-forward flank. Where they're going to kick the goals from? Well, they're going to have to spread the load there, no doubting that. Miller is probably the go-to player. Paul Johnson for the long kick, and Cameron Bruce is the half-forward.
Like Matthew Bates pre-season as well. He was very good against Hawthorn, and they need those players, those mid-range players, to really stand up this year, Melbourne, with such a young squad. They need this bloke to fire, Colby. When you look at a guy like Aaron Davey, he spent more time in the midfield last year, but he only kicked 11 goals. They need goals out of this bloke.
Yeah, and he slipped through the fingers of North Melbourne, and now he's a true blue demon, but they do. He's got speed to burn, and he needs to put some goals on the board as well.
I want to ask you about Jake Spencer, Danny. You mentioned him. Look at the size of this big fella.
Big lump of a lad from Townsville, and as again off the rookie list, it's a magnificent thing, the rookie list. It gives every player in the country an opportunity to play football. He's 200 centimetres, and what a big ass. He's going in the ruck against Hamish McIntosh, was probably one of the informed ruckmen last year, and Dean Bailey has thrown this youngster the challenge, and why not? One area I think you can play for a youngster Townsville, not a football-orientated football town, is you can play in the ruck. I think it's a good learning curve, and I'm sure Dean Bailey will tell him just to play one-on-one with his direct opponent.
Let's have a look at North Melbourne's lineup now. They've got some experience still in their team. They've got some players that really need to stand up this year, but they've also got some kids as well.
They have indeed. 2 guys have had outstanding pre-seasons, Lindsay Thomas and Matty Campbell. They have been super awesome. Look for Ed Lower to improve also. So I think this team to improve in 2009, and it has to come from those third-year players. Throw Hansen in there as well. We've already spoken about Ferrito spending some time up the ground, and also Petrie will be rotated forward and back.
I really hope we see Wells and Harvey in the midfield. I really want to see that. I know that Harvey at times starts outside the square, but if they're going to kick the ball and kick goals, I think they need their skipper, Brent Harvey, again, a new skipper, and it's an exciting time for him. He's captaining the club for the first time in his own right. I think it's a great achievement for Brent Harvey. Have a look at that, 264 games. I think he's won 4 BNFs down there.
He has indeed, and he let him out today, and Adam Simpson taking a side role, but this kid here has been probably the most impressive, along with Liam Anthony for the North Melbourne Footy Club. Look out for this kid. He is going to be a fantasy football special, boys. Look out.
Well, he's in my team, of course, an all-IMG team there, boys, but he has a beautiful kick. That's one thing about Jack Siebel, and he's a player that North Melbourne will be looking for a big year from as well. Let's get upstairs, because joining us in the commentary is the #1 commentator in the game, and it's Dwayne Russell.
Thanks, boys. Can't wait for this one either. You mentioned the weather. Have a look at that sky. It is picture perfect, and big expectations on these two teams as well. North Melbourne, of course, made the 8 last year. High expectations for a win today to start their season well. And Melbourne, well, that big 37-point win they had over the Lions in the NAB Challenge a couple of weeks ago should hold them in good stead. The bounce of the ball straight after this. Welcome back to the Melbourne Cricket Ground, round 1. And the new captains, superstar Brent Harvey on the right, of course, new captain of North Melbourne, and Andrew McDonald, the new captain, taking over from David Neitz for the Demons as we head downstairs in the shade. Lee Colbert.
Thanks, Dwayno. Yes, well, the Demons, they've got 2 new sponsors. Hankook, well, they're driving the Demons, and a new one from Russia, Dwayno, Kaspersky. So look out for them. They're an IBM antivirus company, so
Are they?
they're defending the Demons this year. Dwayne, back to you.
Thanks for that, Colby. Players just getting into position as we speak. Jack Zeeble, first game for him. 3 first gamers yesterday for Adelaide. We've got 4 first gamers for Melbourne today. 4 for Carlton a few nights ago. It's been a fantastic round for the new to get their opportunity. And this is the centre of the universe for these two teams. There's been a lot of action already in round 1, but the big stage, the MCG for Melbourne and North Melbourne, and for their fans, everything else that's happened is inconsequential. The next 3 hours, it's all about them.
It certainly is, and you already see Mick Ferrito in the middle there for North Melbourne. You can see Brady Rawlings going to Aaron Davies, so there'll be a bit of niggle in this game early.
McIntosh in the ruck against one of the first gamers, Jake Spencer for Melbourne, and he goes in hard. Clearance to Simpson, and getting back Green. Wide immediately, McLean. Good fist from Harding, thumped it all the way towards the boundary, and he finds the line. So commitment early from players in both teams.
He's turned into a really good defender, Lee Harding. Started as a forward. Really good spoil there.
Yeah, all but one game last year after missing all of 2007 with that knee reconstruction. He is a star now. Maloney, another player who's hoping for an injury-free year, got the handball up to Bruce. Back to Harding, the man we spoke of, thrown out of it. Maloney again. Bartram bumped on the kick. Good start this. Harvey outside of the boot. Cheney, another first gamer. Dropped the mark, but they'll get out of trouble here. Jared Rivers, long and high to half forward. Little push.
Yeah, hands in the back.
Okay. So against Ricky Pettit.
Just had to use his body there, Ricky. Just a bit over-exuberant.
Daniel Pratt is a clever player, though. One of the more experienced players now in this North Melbourne lineup. Wells. Everybody hoping for a big season from Daniel Wells, coming off an outstanding 08. Inside 50. Smith peels back onto it. Dragged down. No free. Umpire allows play to go on. Campbell. Hale. The 1-2. Campbell darts through traffic. Can he find the target?
It's a good
Thomas. Outstanding kick.
Well, he could have blazed away and he had every right to have a shot there, but these two have got a bit of the Cracker brothers about them, Thomas and Campbell. You saw it last year. They like to use each other. It's a good tackle by Freud. Unlucky, I reckon, not to get rewarded, but the 1-2 here, and you get the ball into the player's hands that can actually run, and that's just a good kick.
I'm being biased there, but he was extremely unlucky not to get that free kick, James Frawley.
He turned his kicking around last year, Lindsay Thomas. Kicked 32 goals, 14 last year. Became a sharpshooter. And there's the perfect start today.
One thing about those two boys, Thomas and Campbell, not only they kick goals, but the forward pressure. They are just alert, they're alert. You have a look at the vision there. Looked up the ground, nothing on, and then just, as you said, Lerm, an awareness just to say, I'll put the ball on the spot, you get there, Lindsay.
And there was a bit of a worry over his goal kicking a couple of years ago, Lindsay Thomas, when he kicked 10 goals, 19 in 2007, but 32-14 last year. Oh, the things started to fall for him. He got more confidence. And it's working for him already today. And the ball up.
Play on, good tap.
Again, McIntosh and Spencer. Harding fends off and slips it to Thomas. And he could go the journey here. He looks around. No one's around him. Drop punt. Goal square. Little offline. But the ball's still alive. Smith. Missed Ferrito with the handball. Oh, that's way high. And that's almost reportable. James McDonald, the captain, dragged down with a coat hanger.
And the Melbourne players aren't too happy with it. They're flying the flag.
The one umpire says, you get the action, I'll watch the fight. It's on, still behind play.
But it's actually good umpiring. It makes the players aware that we need to play football.
Umpires today, Stephen Grun, Shane McInerney and Jacob Mollison. And they've got their hands full early. Hansen gets back. Rawlings.
Got a loose player in the middle of the ground, North Melbourne. They've just got to win the footy.
North Melbourne kick downfield and it's on. Hansen shows his displeasure.
That has to be a free kick to Davey.
Well, Davey played for it a little.
Did he? Fair enough. There we see the head-high tackle. Just went too high, Drew. You've got to go lower with the arms.
And lucky it was all arm. There was no fist in it. And that might get him out of trouble. Brady Rawlings.
I think it was a positive, Dwayne, that the Melbourne boys did show their colours without giving a free kick away.
Pratt to Wells towards Simpson. Forced to feed back onto it. Hunted down by McLean. The old captain, Adam Simpson. Good short pass, precision to Smith in that famous North Melbourne number 18. Josh Smith met Wayne Carey for the first time at North Melbourne's Hall of Fame function a couple of weeks ago. Here he is in game 3, having worn the number 41 in his first couple of games. Slips the 18 on for today. So a big kick for his confidence. Distance won't be the worry. That's what he has in front of him. Looked okay off the boot, but then started to move. He'll be disappointed with that.
Positive signs for North Melbourne pickers. They're moving the ball quickly, and it was great to see Adam Simpson. I think all the Melbourne defenders thought he was going to blaze away, but he had the vision to centre the ball to Smith.
It's the second time they've gone inside forward 50 and done the same thing, so they're looking to centre the ball, get it into the dangerous area. I mean, the percentages say you've got to get it somewhere near the corridor if you're inside 50, and we saw Geelong butcher a few the other night, but a lot easier to kick it from where Smith was.
Frawley's kick, it was easy for Pratt to punch away, but he missed the target. McLean,
forward here, they're loose.
Miller, Davey, well, he spent it before he earned it.
Did well.
It might work for him. Long handball inside 50 to Bate, shrugs a tackle.
Loose player on the goal square.
And couldn't get it to him. Ferrito, Gibson, and now North have the loose men. Thomas, and he blazes long. It's all Melbourne, although the fist from Petrie keeps the ball alive. To Hale, to Lower.
There he is, Campbell.
The feed off to Campbell, and he likes to snap. That's his bread and butter. It looked hard, but for him it's easy.
Thomas is the key at the moment. Campbell, we see finishing the goal, but he's starting on the half-forward line, pickers, but then he's going down playing as a half-back flanker, and we've seen twice already in this game, North Melbourne have had 4 inside 50s, and Thomas has nearly ran the length of the ground. So I think the half-back flanker on Thomas needs to say, well, will I stay with you, or will I go all the way? Because at the moment he's turning Garland around.
So the men you called the Cracker brothers, Liam, have the first 2 goals. One to Thomas, one to Campbell. And Campbell's been in good form pre-season, best on ground, and won that Polly Farmer medal in the Indigenous All-Stars game against Adelaide. So he's had an outstanding summer.
Great to see Ferrito there on camera in the midfield, as talked about before the game.
Well, he's got the grunt, and that's what they want. He's got good endurance, but he also hits the contest hard, and they've obviously tried to spread the load a little bit this year. We see Lindsay Thomas coming up off for a spell, and Jack Ziebel on for the first run in AFL footy, and he's going to push to half forward.
And the ball up, secondary knock from Spencer, McLean, Green, little sidestep Miller. And Pratt can't get the fist in this time. It's a very good mark at half forward by Ricky Pettit.
Rotations are unbelievable, aren't they? Lindsay Thomas, probably the best player on the ground at the moment. 2 inside 50, set up 2 goals, and he's off the ground for a spell.
Well, North are pushing all their players back as well, just to try and make it, or clog up the space for Melbourne, and there's nothing for them to kick too forward, really. You have to go sideways and try and go short here.
So Rivers, Warnock, Frawley, Johnson.
Yeah, they'll have to just lower their eyes and widen their vision. A big, long kick is fraught with danger.
Miller.
It was actually a good kick by...
Worked it well.
Outstanding.
The big man.
And he plays on. Didn't get the kick he wanted. Good fly, off hands. Chance here for the first goal in AFL football for Neville Jetta. And he couldn't slot it.
Exciting. It was great to see off hands there. That would have been a great start for Neville.
Neville Jetta, Jake Spencer, Jamie Bennell and Kyle Chaney all playing their first games today for the Melbourne Football Club.
Could have joined an illustrious club there, Neville. First kick, a goal in AFL football.
He might get one with his second here. Handball over the top is to Green. Pokes it back to Johnson. That's not 15. Thought about centering it. Goes for goal. And misses to behind.
Showing good composure, Melbourne. Could have blazed away a couple of times, but North Melbourne are putting extras behind the ball, so you've just got to be patient.
McIntosh with the second grab. He was in trouble there.
Stay on it. Play on.
Little 1-2 with Simpson.
Jake Spencer off the ground, Aaron Davey on. That I'd suggest that Paul Johnson will go into the ruck now for Melbourne.
Campbell short. Hanson. Rawlings.
And they're doing well here, Melbourne. Just held North up.
North have got some players to peel on the open side, though. McMahon can grab and go if he wants to. And he does want to. Heads long to Petrie in a one-on-one. Good, strong hands. That's a statement grab. Heads to Harvey. He was pushed out. No free. Morton was hoping it was going to roll out. It didn't roll out. Harvey drags it back in.
Over the shoulder.
Ball up. You got the explanation.
Brent Harvey, well, could have got a free kick. He's pushed forward at the moment, Harvey. Bartram running with him from the start of the game.
He has played for them in the past, Brent Harvey, but that looked legit. Jones, good tackle. Massive players around this ball at the moment.
I think we'll head down to Lee, Cole, but they seem to be playing a lot of interchanges. Yesterday, Cole, we saw a number of players cramping in the Adelaide-Collingwood game.
It's a big thing today, and as you said, even in this first round, James Hird spoke about it yesterday, it takes 2 or 3 rounds to get your legs, and there was a lot of cramping from both teams, and you'll expect the same today.
Buckley dispossessed. Zeeble with his first touch, gives to Hale, and doesn't get himself an assist, but the hands were quick.
There's going to be a class act, Jack Zeeble. Performed well in the country champ for Victorian Country last year, Pickers.
He did. He's a very good kick. Jack Zeeble uses the ball well.
I think they were surprised he got him at pick 9, North Melbourne.
There's a lot of talk Brisbane were going to take him with 7, but they ended up going with Daniel Rich, and I don't think that's going to hurt them either after watching him last night.
No, Frawley at half-back.
Look at the numbers there in front of the kicker. This is why kicking in modern football is so important, because there's just no space. At the moment, no movement from Melbourne.
So Garland entrusted with it. Buckley, McDonald, who's just come back on after spending some time on the bench after that knock. Ball to the back. Rivers can run onto it. He's got a couple of one-on-ones. He goes to the short. There was a one-on-one in the goal square that he could have gone to. He went for Pettit to make sure he maintained possession. Now the goal square, a little too late, off hands. Bate, they needed that. Matthew Bates slots the goal.
Well, he was there for half an hour. It felt like watching it. And the first kick should have gone to Matthew Bate. It went short instead, but the end result was the same. But he'd actually pushed forward by that stage of that bit of camera work. There was North Melbourne players in the actual picture, but he was actually there for an eternity on his own. And I like Matthew Bates pre-season, and he's becoming a very important player for Melbourne. They've just got to get the ball into him quickly, and I think he's pretty dangerous.
And you're spot on, Liam. He's had a good pre-season. Last year he didn't. He had that late start to the season due to hamstring problems and played catch-up with his fitness all year. 15 games last year after that late start. And the Demons have got their first of 09. Looking for a clearance. Jetta, tumbling handball. The umpire will be forced to sort this out.
Thanks, James.
Look at the numbers around the footy. Both sides gone with some hard nuts around the ball.
And what I like about the moment, Pickers, is a lot of one-on-ones. Not many players dropping off to pack their arm across the body.
Buckley slips through traffic. Maloney. Jones. To half forward. So Rawlings playing at half back at the moment for North Melbourne. He's got it, and he's been got too high. An outstanding contributor, Brady Rawlings, every game the last 3 seasons. Tagging, of course, but now at half back today. Hanson. Simpson.
That's a very good kick.
Very good kick indeed. Swallow was waiting there for a while. No one picked him up. Hanson. Power. Wells.
Man in the mark is so important in today's football, especially around this area of the ground.
He got the call to go on, didn't want to, and forced to go wide. Simpson.
What it does, it allows your midfielder to get back in and block the holes. And you look at the North Melbourne forward line now, there's 3 or 4 Melbourne midfielders. Force Simpson to go long.
And pinpointing a pass inside 50 has never been his forte. He tried to there, missed the target. Good chance here though still. Thomas gave it to Gibson. rolls it inside 50. Harvey lurking, lays a good tackle on Green. Dispossessed. Petrie, stolen by Cheney. The first gamer looks very, very solid under pressure there. McDonald back again to Spike. And now Jones.
Good follow-on from Cheney. I like that.
3 in the chain.
This is better.
Davey.
Beautiful kick.
And that's Jetta.
And there's Bate forward again.
Little fumble from the first game at Jetta, but he knows where it is, and that's a poor kick. Bate led short, then went back.
Yeah, you're right. And then young Jetty will learn from it. All the space for Bate was over the top of Bate, and he thought, I'll put it in front. He just had to read Bate's body language and his movement there.
Urquhart's kick poor. Wells with Frawley.
And good Frawley early on.
And Swallow went low, and Johnson didn't go low enough, so Swallow got the free. Rawlings. They've got the numbers now. It's a terrible kick. Bouncing ball inside 50, Zeeble. Hand off to Lower, and a high bomb. It's a 2-on-1 here. Tough for Thomas to get anywhere near it. Almost held off it. Rivers takes the mark.
Melbourne supporters, and more importantly, Dean Bailey, won't be happy with the kick, but it's great to see Rivers come third man in. Desperately missed him the last couple of seasons. And just that kick, you see, if he kicked that ball to space towards the goal square, Bate has an easy shot on goal.
And the ball in. Johnson, McLean, Morton. And that's terrible. Out of play on the full, and that's the Melbourne of last year. And this is hopefully a different Melbourne we'll see in 09.
Just a little bit laconic there from Kale. Just laid it on the boot. Didn't have the head right over the ball.
Petrie.
Well, both sides are kicking at efficiency levels at 50% at the moment. So, I mean, neither side's kicking the ball particularly well. And as far as a defender goes, you don't mind the key forward taking a mark in the pie stand, which is where he's going to have to kick this from.
Also had a good summer, Drew Petrie. Probably his best performance was the 5 goals he kicked in North's 15-goal win over Fremantle in the NAB Challenge Cup. Comes in with some confidence. Starts it right and doesn't bring it back enough. It was always a tough kick, as Liam said. If you're going to allow a kick at goal, that's the spot to allow it.
Now, North Melbourne pressing with the full zone as well.
Warnock.
Which means you kick the bloke that kicks in, and that's why Geelong will miss Josh Hunt. You need a bloke here with good nerve that doesn't kick balls like that, pretty much.
So Garland finds Buckley, but after a scare.
You're right, because Warnock had the ball, and when he saw the full zone, he said, over to you, Colin.
Yeah, no, not my go.
And just put a little bit more pressure on Colin Garland. Garland thought, thanks for that.
Hale corrals, and that forces the kick to be a little untidy. Big fly over the top from Bate, but he couldn't bring it down. And Hanson dragged across the line and then mauled. And he got done for ball.
Well, he got done for ball because the umpire hadn't put his arm up, the boundary umpire, but he was well and truly out of play.
Gee, they get the ball in the middle of the ground here.
Buckley long. Miller's in position 1A. It floats for him. Oh, he had his arm knocked.
Good fist by Thompson.
Must have got all ball. Davey, the steal back.
Well done.
And the goal. Some inspiration.
Absolutely sensational play. Aaron Davey, we know he can kick the goal, but it was his pressure, his cat-like reflexes to smother the ball. We just see the ball going long. Great spoil from the North Melbourne player here, but just see he picked the pocket, he'd look for the handball, and then had the awareness to follow on. That is a team-lifting goal. If they can get 22 games out of Aaron Davey, Dean Bale will be very, very happy boy.
Should actually be playing for North Melbourne, Aaron Davey. It was actually North Melbourne's recruiting manager, Neville Stibbard, who brought him down from Darwin to Melbourne to play with Port Melbourne, hoping that North Melbourne would draft him. And there was a bit of an argument, and North went for Shane Harvey, Brent Harvey's brother, instead. And Melbourne grabbed Davey. 15 plays 14. Swallow long and wide. Petrie hunts it down, but the ball allowed to roll out to get a ball in.
It's already interesting that of the 4 goals kicked, the 3 of the Indigenous boys, Aaron Davey, the 2 Thomas and Campbell from North Melbourne. It's just that sort of day today where these boys, I reckon, on show, using their pace and skill will be so important this afternoon.
Swallow, clever, Ferrito, Harding, and now Wells. Good fist away by Cheney. Wells kept his feet. He's like a cat. Pops it back towards McIntosh, missed him, McDonald.
Good coaching from Dean Bailey. Kyle Chaney's on Daniel Wells, as you said, is in the goal square at the moment, and he's leaving him there. I think that's great for his development.
Spencer lays the tackle on Simpson, slung, handball, Jones, Wells had him but didn't wrap him up. Bruce to Spencer, waited, bait, Jones, and now the long kick. Jetta in a one-on-one with Urquhart, and Urquhart with the experience, not that he's got a lot of it. This is game 15 for Gavin Urquhart.
He has got 15 more than him.
That's true. And the ball out of play.
Just on that passage of play, though, Brad Miller had to be aware the kick was going long. He had to contest that ball and let Jetta move up the ground, and then he comes to front and square.
The problem is he fell over. As the ball was a kick and a half away, he went to ground, and once you're on the ground, you're not much good to anybody.
Daniel Wells off. We'll check with Lee Colbert shortly if he's okay. Campbell coming back on.
4 possessions for Daniel Wells.
So maybe he's just spent. It's a good start for him. 4 possession start.
I think both coaches would have watched yesterday's game, Dwayne, here at the MCG. Pretty warm conditions. The last quarter, Adelaide and Collingwood, they were out in their legs figures. They were dropping like flies.
Which will be interesting if this game's tight coming into the last quarter. The Demons have got at least another 6 weeks training into their legs that North Melbourne haven't. They started back early October, so you would think it running out of legs won't be an issue with Melbourne if it's tight.
Well, they did give Hawthorn, of all teams, a big run in the NAB Cup, Melbourne. Probably should have won that because they were fit, up and running round 1. Hot ball at the moment. Tough one to win in the kitchen. Thomas dives in, and 3 over the top of him. Melbourne fans wanted ball. They didn't get it.
Held up really well, the Melbourne defence.
Ticked into time on now, opening term. See Jones, 5 disposals, last 10 minutes. And the ball up. Spencer with a tap down. Jones, it'll knock on. Now, there's been a free kick. Burnell got a kick the first gamer, but it'll come back.
It's a real tug-of-war at the moment. The stoppages are fairly even. The tackles are even. Inside 50s are going in Melbourne's favour. It's an arm wrestle.
Nathan Jones started on the bench. Dumps a long ball, and it's really all North Melbourne. McIntosh got back but couldn't complete the mark. Urquhart back to McIntosh after he got it from Smith. Poor kick towards Zeeble. He was the sitting duck there, and Jones thumps it to the line.
That was a let off that long kick because he looked up. There was 3 North Melbourne players on Miller. The long kick's okay as long as it goes to the boundary line. At least give Miller a chance just to put it over the boundary line, because if it had come in the corridor anymore, North Melbourne would have attacked out the other side.
Simpson, Harding, Campbell, Rawlings, Power, all a possession. Now Smith tries to spear one towards half forward. Little push from Ferrito. Jones ball.
He's made his name as a defender, Michael Ferrito. He's now playing the midfield on Nathan Jones. Just hands in the back.
Chaney.
That's a super kick.
Unfortunately, Bruce couldn't make it as good as it would have been. Hands up towards Bartram. Half held. Little grab on the jumper. Not paid. Melbourne fans wanted it, and there are plenty of Melbourne fans here.
Jared Rivers got the tape on the nose there, Lee Colbert.
Yeah, he just got a whack across the beak, mate, but he'll be okay. I'm just interested to watch that Bruce and Wells battle. They're going head-to-head in the middle of the ground.
Gibson left it behind. Bruce, speaking of that battle, gives to Maloney, shrugs the tackle with strength. Jones, he takes them on. It was raked free. Wells just plucked it, and then he gets it back to Swallow, and they're away. Power, just a fingernail in the right spot, and now the turnover for them to be away. Petrie got it from Rawlings.
Well done.
Ducks through a tackle from Rivers. Now to Swallow. Can go the journey. Heads inboard to Hale instead. Thump down. Hale keeps his feet, but it bounced poorly for him. Thomas ducked his head, burst through, caught, not gone. Another brilliant tackle, and we'll get a ball up.
That's good football all around there. A little bit of a let off for Jared Rivers through the middle of the ground. Really had to nail Petrie with his body. Tried to tackle with his fingertips, had to get his torso behind the ball. There's a great tackle there from Drew Petrie. That's how you do it.
Spencer again, got his hand on it and won it. Quickly to Garland. Punch away was good. Hanson follows it up. Jetta hunts him down. He made it tough for him. As you heard, not 15, and Chaney slips the handball back to Maloney, and now Melbourne with the spare man. Spencer, the big man, off the rookie list, in for his first game and looks good. Kick not so flash. Pratt He heads wide. And now Harvey, and it bounces kindly for him. Short pass, Thomas. Open forward line. Need to get it in there quickly. Harvey knows it. And his chip kick to Hale is pretty good. Harvey knocked it further on. Cheney's playing well back there.
He's been outstanding, Dwayne. 7 possessions. The youngsters in round 1, any senior coach would be saying, well, let's give these kids a go because they've got young legs, they're exuberant, they had enthusiasm. You had 7 disposals already.
Morton, long, bait, one-on-one with Simpson. Simpson's fierce toward the boundary. Very good. He thumps it across the line and we'll get a ball in.
Scotty Thompson has got a fist in 3 times now. Been pretty good.
Back into play. Bait. Shoots the handball up Maloney. If it bounces, it does! Over Wells' head for a goal. The Demons are in front.
I'll tell you what, I've been very impressed already with a young group. This Melbourne side have been terrific at the contest. And their stoppage work so far has been just first class all around the ground. Good work by Bate, kept the ball alive. And those 50-50 balls, which North Melbourne really pride themselves on. And don't you like that, Danny? A little bit of a bounce that goes straight over your scone.
The old A-grade bounce.
Look at this.
Absolutely nothing. Well, saw he's just going to gobble that up, and then just short of a length over the top.
20 plays 15.
Looks mean, Brent Maloney, that new hairdo there, Dwayne.
And some work on the guns as well.
His shoulder injury ended his season after round 11 last year. He's hoping to have an injury-free run this year. Harding couldn't get on the end of it. Spence a little tap forward. Ferrito.
Well, here's Rivers. He's on
Thomas
his own at the moment.
Well, he went for the big fly and then sat back and waited. Thought about the snap. Now the banana. Steady. It's the post, the behind post, out of play on the full.
Now, you might say, well, that should have centred the ball, but he actually did look inside. And well done, Rivers. Just a great attack on the footy. But in the end, there was no real option, so he had to have a shot. So,
oh, Petrie.
Free kick.
Up and very, very early. So free kick to Jake Spencer.
North Melbourne, just to have to be aware, Dean Lately needs to have a look at Rivers. Does he man him up, or does he tell his team it's pointless going long to the goal square if Rivers is playing on his own, because he's so good at coming off.
Frawley off the side. Thomas. Good chance for power. Heads wide. And now Harvey. About 45. That's about as far out as he'd like to be.
He's improved the angle somewhat here too, the skipper, the veteran.
Captain now, of course. Adam Simpson handing it over. To give North Melbourne back the lead. A steadier. With 1.5 minutes left on the clock. Geez, good. He is exceptional, Brent Harvey. The Roos back in front.
Great goal from the North. Great goal from the North Melbourne skipper there, Brent Harvey. 4 possessions already. We talked about it before the game. The midfield have to get more goal-scoring pressure. And he's pushing forward, which is great. He's spent some time in the midfield, and you just keep that experience on the ground as long as you possibly can, because he can go down and general the troops. You've got Hale down there, Lindsay, Thomas, Campbell, throw Brent Harvey and Wells. That's a quality forward line.
The old and the new there were on screen, Harvey and Zeeble. Been a good start, 21 plays 20. In the shadows of quarter time. And a beautiful sight the MCG is today. Harding tries to break through, Spencer wraps him up.
Thanks, Lee.
Get a secondary ball up.
Lee, hold here, guys. Lee, thank you. No, here, guys. Drew. Let him run. Let him run, Adam.
Umpires barking instructions. Another tie up in the middle.
Come under him. You didn't drag it in. Thanks, Lee.
Well, North better watch it go long, because there's Jared Rivers. They're trying to man him up, but there's 3 on 2. So if North go long there, they're going to be outnumbered. So they just need to lower their eyes with Jared Rivers playing loose for Melbourne.
McDonald, quick kick. Wobbler inside 50. Beats Thompson, but he gets back to try and knock it away. Still over it and lays the tackle. Ties it up, then keeps it in Dean Laidley there. And apologies to Scott Thompson. I think I called him Simpson earlier. He lives around the corner from me, and Don and Elaine will probably harass me at the newsagent this week. I robbed him of a stat.
And there's Daniel Pratt. That's Jared Rivers' direct opponent.
And the ball up. Oh, McDonald got it for too high.
Well, you know that James McDonald will be where the hard ball is, and he'll put his head where there's a lot of arms and legs.
Well, I mean, they missed one earlier to the Demons. That was certainly line ball at best, you'd think.
Well, the North Melbourne skipper's kicked the goal. Can the Melbourne skipper debut with a goal with his first game as captain?
Well, he only kicked one, I think, for the whole of last year, so it'd be a better start.
Applause for Jake Spencer coming off. The first gamer in the ruck's been good, and he can't nail it. He'll be very disappointed with that, James McDonald. As you said, he rarely scores goals. One last year and 49 only for his 218 games career.
Okay, you're good now.
So scores look like being level, barring a turnover here.
It's a long
at the first
kick.
change.
It's gone to the centre of the ground from Pratt.
Might come back over his head if he doesn't watch it.
So a tough, tight opening term here. These two teams met twice last year, and both times at quarter time, North Melbourne were up by about 6 goals and won by roughly that margin. So the Demons, pretty good start. It's 3-3-21 apiece. Thomas, and he blazes long. It's all Melbourne, although the fist from Petrie keeps the ball alive. To Hale, to Lower, the feed off to Campbell. He likes to snap. That's his bread and butter. Now the goal square, a little too late, off hands, bait. They needed that.
Missed by Thompson.
Must have got all ball. Davey, the steal back.
Well done.
And the goal. Some inspiration. Quarter time at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, and we're no closer to knowing who'll win this round one clash. Melbourne 3-3-21 to North Melbourne 3-3-21. You can see the goal scorers, at least a few of them, on screen, and many of the Indigenous forwards have been outstanding early, gentlemen.
Well, you have a look at the disposals, Lamb, and you'd suggest fairly even, which is contested possessions fairly even, uncontested. Clearance is Melbourne's favour a little bit. It was great to see the two leading possession getters for Melbourne were Chaney and Frawley. We'll head down to Lee Colwyn on the boundary line.
Thanks, Danny. Yes, well, interesting that first quarter. They're both trying to employ similar styles. 16-man zones out of defence, and also when they get the ball forward, plenty of space for their little fellas to work their magic. But I've been interested in watching both Daniel Wells and Cameron Bruce. Cameron Bruce, the best and fairest winner of last year, trying to exploit Wellesley going the other way, trying to get forward of the ball and try and get some goals on the board for his team. And Wellesley, on the other hand, has pushed forward similar to a Judd or a Gary Ablett and gone to the full forward line and exploit the Melbourne defence as well. So it's been interesting to watch both of those players go head-to-head.
Thanks, Colby. See the animation from both coaches. And it is difficult to ascertain exactly what Dean Bailey's trying to explain for them, but it looks as if that zone pushing tight and expanding again is what he was talking about then.
Well, you need players that can kick the footy with the zone, and a couple of times there, North Melbourne were exposed, but the problem was the foot skills let the Melbourne players down. So good to see in the first quarter a couple of young players involved in the possession sheets. Young Chaney in his first games had 9 touches in the first quarter, not a bad way to debut. And your nephew, Chip Frawley, had 8 touches as well and did some pretty nice stuff down defence, Danny.
Yeah, he's been pretty solid. The defence down there, as you see James and Jared Rivers. I think Melbourne will build a very strong defence down there with Warnock and Garland also. And I think Colby touched on something there with Cameron Bruce on Wells. Dean Laidley was aware of that, and then he put Wells to full forward, hoping that Cameron Bruce would go down. But Dean Bailey had the strength and the faith in young Cole Chaney to grab Daniel Wells. So he was trying to grab Cameron Bruce out of the midfield to push him forward and make him play as a defender, but it was good coaching there from Dean Bailey.
Well, their rejigged midfield had a pretty good effect at the centre bounces. 4-zip in favour of North Melbourne out of the centre in the first quarter. But I reckon around the ground, Melbourne have been able to close them down a little bit. But certainly centre square stuff at the moment in favour of the Roos.
The first gamer, Jake Spencer, back into the ruck to start this second term as he started the first. He's against McIntosh, who wins it down. Simpson ducked into trouble, no free. Slings a handball out, Jones off the deck. Race on. Davey at full pelt. Can't collect, being hunted down. First to get up, Bartram. He was knocked down, and again it's a hot start to the term as it was in the opening quarter. And the umpire had to ball it up quite a few times in the opening term. Doesn't have to here. Harvey got it away. But the boundary umpire will be the Boyle back into play.
James McDonald there. Excuse me, Melbourne skipper. There's Jared Rivers. Dean Lately said enough. He's got Ed Lower now, number 2. There's his direct opponent, Ed Lower, with Jared Rivers trying to drag Rivers out of the danger zone so North Melbourne can kick one-on-one to David Hale.
McIntosh given a long time. Simpson thumps it high. Green stands under it, big pack. Thomas with the fly hand, landed perfectly. Sells the dummy, might go the journey from 50, pops it up. It's got some sky, and it's wide.
Just real impressive second effort there from Thomas. He flew hard and then was first on the ground, cat-like reflexes.
He's got 10 disposals already, Pickers, so he is the leading possession getter on the ground.
He's working really hard at the moment.
So Buckley missed Maloney with an attempt at quick handball, a look-away handball, and he should have been looking. Green mops it up to Frawley. Melbourne get out of trouble. If it sits for Jones, he's away.
Oh, loose players again forward.
He had a couple of options. He goes to Miller, and instead the mark taken by Ricky Pettit was it in the square, was outside, so he'll be on the angle. He plays on dangerously.
Did well.
And he gives the first gamer, Neville Jetta, a chance to kick his first goal.
Dean Barbie wrapped in that. He could have went back on an acute angle, looked inside. This is good forward play. Miller being the strong target. This is a better play for the better structure. You got Miller being the long target and Pettard coming across as the floater and then looks in and hits Jetta. Good forward play.
Mum and Dad here today, Neville and Lynette, to see his first game and his first goal in AFL football for Neville Jetta.
Isn't it great to see? Young legs, chaining up the other end there. Jetta kicking his first goal in league football. All of a sudden, the Melbourne supporters have got something to cheer about. Their senior players are playing well. Just putting a little bit of pressure on North Melbourne now. They're asking the question of North Melbourne. They've got more experience out in the ground, Pickers.
Well, they got the corridor. The Frawley handball was a beauty out in front of Jones. And the kick was good because Pettit's been on his own 3 or 4 times along with Bate. And we have a look at this one here. And this handball from Frawley's a beauty. If you have a look at the space in front of Jones, look at that. And that, but he could just assess his options up forward. Pettit had pushed across. He was actually in the pocket when it was kicked. And then straight away back and away he went.
And the ball up. It's Gibson. He's wrapped up. Umpire says ball. Crowd wanted it. Just a matter of whether Maloney was going to get the benefit of the doubt. And he runs free and kicks long. Jetta's the hot man on the field at the moment. Gathers, turns Pratt inside out. Pratt hunted him down. Got him just in time. Miller, he slips in board. He kicks toward goal, but it's way, way wide.
They're having a blue too. Pratt and Jetta. Jetta wasn't happy with the tackle, but it was great play from both players. Jetta turned Pratt initially, then Pratt had the desperation to nailing the tackle here.
It's been a good contest.
It's tough
Cheney,
footy.
speaking of first gamers, taken across the line.
It's been tough footy all round. There's no easy possession. We know we get a lot of uncontested possession in footy, and we've got that today, but there's been some great one-on-ones also.
Johnson in the ruck against McIntosh. Little flick back was good. McLean. He was dumped after he disposed of it, and free kick will go to Brock McLean.
Hasn't had a big impact yet, which is a good sign for the Demons.
Good kick though there to Garland. Spits the handball out to Buckley. Needs to hit a target now and doesn't. Harding couldn't mark it, but Urquhart mops it up. McMahon. And now Campbell can go. He's got some space ahead of him, knows it.
Good vision.
Likewise needs to hit a target and does to Swallow. And he doesn't want to turn it over, goes backwards to go forward. Harding through the corridor. The leads come. Smith, short, got it. On 50. Hands up to Power. He's got Thomas. He's lurking in the pocket, and he was free for way too long, Lindsay Thomas.
He'll learn from that, Cole Chaney. He just lost his direct opponent. Thomas had the awareness to say, if you play in front, I'll turn you around. You can see Cole Chaney searching for Thomas there on the screen. He'll learn from that.
Well, it was a good give, because you gave the ball to Power, who's a left footer. That's the best bit of vision you could have given by Smith.
And Thomas kicks his second. North Melbourne back in front.
Well, sometimes the play on footy is important, and they got the ball into players' hands off half back that can actually use the ball with pace. If you look at some of the guys here, Harding's quick. He gets the hit up pass to Smith, who could have gone back and had a shot, but immediately saw it was Power, who was running to his left side. The left foot kick was a beauty, and you're right, Chaney lost his touch on his opponent, and Thomas's work rate is the reason he's probably the leading possession winner on the ground.
He is the most dangerous player on the ground. He's had 11 disposals, 2 goals, and we can say you get a lot of disposals in today's footy, but he's also had 4 inside 50, so 6 out of his 11 have gone inside the forward 50, and 2 have been for majors.
Johnson up against McIntosh. Maloney in the middle of it. Little push on Burnell. No free kick. And Jetta, they both get a possession. The 2 young first gamers who played together all their junior career. Bate hands it up to Miller. Taken across the line, and we'll get a ball in. Yeah, Jetta and Burnell, 2 first gamers who have come into the AFL having played together their whole life from Bunbury and Swan districts. In fact, the Melbourne recruiting staff saw them both play because they were essentially watching Nick Napanui the whole year last year at Swan districts to ascertain whether they'd take Napanui first pick in the draft. And having watched Swan districts so often, they said, hang on, there's a couple of other players we might grab.
They trumped West Coast with the Burnell pick, I know that. West Coast were about to take him with the next pick.
And they've looked lively, the both of them. So Thompson to Campbell. Runs the wing nicely with speed, couple of bounces, Power. Thomas.
One thing Campbell and Thomas are doing, they're rotating through half forward and half back.
Harvey, boundary line lurking, takes it cleanly.
Just saw a very good example of Cameron Bruce and Daniel Wells. They were running and they started on the wing together, and Bruce couldn't keep up with Wells. Luckily, he got a chop out from Burnell.
Go back 2 metres to your right if you want.
And he wasn't used.
Half a step back, thanks.
Already has one, Brent Harvey. You wouldn't count him out here. Walks in from the gutter. Opens the angle. Snaps around the body. It drifts across the face. Jared Rivers letting him know.
Right out, boys, now.
And Harvey.
David, bring it 2 metres.
Fourth best and fairest last year. So joint record holder at North Melbourne with Carey, Dench and Teasdale. He's been an outstanding player for this footy club. Garland got it from Warnock. This is Burnell, who spoke of. Garland again. Now Buckley. And Bruce.
Just controlling the tempo at the moment, Melbourne. Just aware there's extra numbers behind the ball.
Tough kick to mark. Fist from Harding, thumps it down. Rawlings. Petrie. Inboard. Oh, he went for the 1-2, but unfortunately, Hansen pushed back into the turf. Turned it over, Maloney to Johnson. And the kick smothered. Ricochets back to Petrie. So now North Melbourne on the rebound. Gibson takes on McDonald and wins. Another unclean pair of hands from Hansen. Won't be happy with that. Burnell comes in. He knocks it clear. Still in the middle, Frawley. Hands it up to Buckley. Melbourne fans are rising here. Frawley slips the handball inboard. Again, tough tackle on Maloney.
Well, he just went lower and harder, Maloney. He knew he was going to get a contest. But look at his handball from Davey. Drew the pressure, knowing he's going to get tackled and hammered, but still had the awareness to get the hands off.
Buckley, long. Big leap, Miller with the crumb, couldn't take the mark, Pettit back onto it, dished up the handball, a little too slick. Pratt dives in, makes out he's trying to get it out whilst keeping it in. And he's gone for it.
Well, it's quite a skill, that.
Gee.
There's Aaron Davey on the boundary line there. He's off the ground there, Colby. A bit sore after that hit.
Yeah, he just put on a couple of great efforts. That hit in the middle, and then he got a hand in the middle of the ground also. So just coming off for a rest.
Well, this will be an interesting replay.
I'd like to have another look at it too at some stage, Pickers, because I was a bit unsure of that. Did he have a prior opportunity? Did he drag it in?
Okay, now, they're both diving on it.
There's a lot of hands in there.
Pretty hard to... Who's actually tackling?
Yeah, exactly. Look, that's a raffle.
It is a raffle.
That is a raffle. That should have been a ball up.
So Ricky Pettard pulled out the winning ticket and spirals a wobbler through. And now the Demons are back in front.
Not only did he draw the winning ticket, Wayne, he got the prize as well. He got the major, and I think that's a bit of a let-off for Melbourne. It was very hard to adjudicate what the free here. We see again a different angle. There's a lot of hands there. Pratt's got it. Melbourne are in there. Did anyone drag it in? I'm not quite sure.
Well, no one's tackling. Everyone's trying to put their hand on the ball, so it should have been a ball up, but, well, it cashed in.
What's in the scorebook? Ricky Pettard. Good youngster again for Melbourne.
I think it's in Jeff Geeshan's highlights reel for Monday too, when he assesses the performance of the men in yellow.
It's hard enough playing defence now, Dwayne, without copying those sort of decisions.
Ferrito. Tough kick to mark, half forward, bounces unkindly for everyone essentially. Smith came hard but left it behind, went back, but Frawley got him, drags him down. Wells at full pace, threw it back. Frawley rides the bump, gives it up. Harvey, Simpson, two captains together. McDonald couldn't drag him down. Simpson got it to Harvey, and it's an out of play ball. 33-29. Jared Rivers enjoying being back in the thick of it.
So will the Melbourne supporters. We've hardly seen him in the last couple of years. Rising Star winner, of course.
McDonald, Jones, Frawley's having an influence. He's got Bruce short. Terrible kick for him. McMahon tried to thump it away, but Bruce rode it perfectly and sends it long to Miller.
It's also good courage from Bruce, Dwayne.
Really had to put the skates on there, Miller. Sends it long. Big fly. Oh, too big a fly from Ricky Pettard.
Just up before acceptances. It was set up beautifully for him.
Gee.
But just flew a fraction too early.
In fact, in the end, he could have just stood there and marked it with ease. Simpson to Harvey. Hale at half forward. He was wrapped up by Warnock.
Been good by Warnock. There's definitely a free kick there. Hale's only had the 3 possessions. No mark, so he's right on top at the moment, Warnock.
The give and go. Harvey short. Impossible. And the mark's been paid.
What about the confidence?
Been outstanding, Kyle Chaney.
What about the confidence of that? Normally you'd think, oh, I'll halve the contest to spoil, but no, I'll take the grab.
Pettard couldn't get up and get that one either. Gibson can allow it to run out if he wants to. Probably should have. Outstanding tackle. Ricky Pettard wins it. Play on advantage, and that's not really advantage. That's out on the full.
Well, it was an advantage. The problem was the kick by Bate was a shocker. I mean, actually, it was an advantage if he had been able to use the footy. But it was a great tackle by Pettard. Just got his other arm, got his right arm.
Let him go. Stay there.
Sam Power.
Well, talk about round one. It's a tough game. It always has been. First game of the year. These blokes have been training Melbourne for 6 months. And they've got young players in the side and they're playing with real passion. Look at this chase.
Thompson back to McMahon, who sends it way, way wide. Harvey had a metre, though. Back to the midfield. Smith hands it off. Good movement again from North Melbourne. They get it inside 50, and the man who essentially started it all, Scott McMahon, to line up a goal.
What I've liked about the Melbourne team, more importantly the defence, 20 inside 50s North Melbourne have had. They've only kicked the 4 goals, so the shots they've had, they haven't been directly in front 30 metres out in the corridor. They've always been these type of kicks or from the boundary line, so they're making it hard for North to score an easy goal.
Normally an accurate kick, 7-1 last year, McMahon, and that is true to his word. Outstanding kick a goal, and North Melbourne in a seesawing contest back in front.
Well, what will be particularly pleasing for Dean Bailey is where he's running back to after that goal, and that's back in defence, and that's where it started. And you can see the ball use of North End was terrific. The kick by Harding was a beauty. But you need players that run in this sort of game of footy, in this style of footy. You need blokes from defence that can use the footy and are prepared to back themselves. And McMahon was certainly able to do that on that occasion.
Thanks, Hamish. Jake, over the footy. Can we get the nod? What's your back, fellas?
So 6 lead changes. Rivers having a rest. As the boys mentioned, hasn't seen a lot of footy in recent times. Just 6 games last year, 3 games a year before. Enjoying this contest at the moment. Swallow shoots it back to Harding. Simpson. Power. He spent it before he earned it. McLean tracks him down, but hands back to Swallow, who hung around to help. Adam Simpson in the middle. He can go.
Vision.
Brent, that's it, please.
Had a couple of options, but they were all wide. Wanted to go forward. Lower. Just the kick and hope, and he might get the target.
Oh,
McIntosh. Unbelievable grab.
Great effort by Nathan Jones as well. He was the meat in that sandwich, but that was a terrific mark.
Good courage all round. Dwayne, I think it was a little bit better kick than we give credit for, because he looked up. I think he just kicked the ball to space. It may have been a kick in hope, but at least it went to space. And it wasn't space in the end, because Nathan Jones, as a midfielder, has come back to block that space. That is terrific courage, but a very good mark from both players, keeping their eyes on the ball. Who said AFL football wasn't tough?
And doesn't have big marks.
Whoever said it had never put themselves in that position.
To extend the lead, that's nice off the boot. It swung, but swung late. And North Melbourne open up an 8-point lead.
Senior players starting to assert their influence. McIntosh played in the ruck most of the days, push forward. When you've got Hale and Petrie down there also, it does stretch a young defence. But that was a great kick there from Ed Lower. Kick the ball to space. We've already talked about the Jones courage also. Simpson's starting to have a bit of influence as well. Melbourne just need to hang on here. You just sense that North Melbourne are starting to go for the jugular.
Had a tough summer in some ways. Hamish McIntosh offered up at the trade table during trade week after knee and form problems. Only 14 games last year. From the ball up. Players all looked at the umpire waiting for an explanation, and Brock McLean was none the wiser either. It's his ball. Short. Spencer.
Well done filling the hole there, Spencer.
Davey Johnson.
Bennell's pushed forward, or Jetta it is actually.
We'll have to go outside the corridor now.
To the pocket, that's too wide for Miller.
It was the option, but the technique wasn't great. That was the only option he had in the end, down the line in the forward pocket, but just bit off a bit too much.
Well, the current game and the way the zones are set up, that kick that's kicking a bit away from goal, you need to get the ball in someone's hands that can use the footy. Now, he had Davey around the back that he probably should have used, because at least he's got the speed to be able to actually take on a player further up the ground, and he uses the ball a bit better than Paul Johnson. But it does come back to hurt you, I should say.
Rawlings, Hansen, Urquhart to throw the arm out. McMahon. Everybody showing the sign for North Melbourne with the ball in the air. Whatever that may mean. Over the head of Petrie. And now Zeeble sprints onto it. The first gamer keeps it alive for North Melbourne. Hands off to Simpson for the 1-2. Spears the pass toward half forward. Ferrito tracks it down, runs it inside 50, rolls a kick towards goal. It tumbles, and is offline.
Well, you love the way he plays, Mick Ferrito, but good play by Zeeble. But the handball over the top was on. It was space in front. And the old tumbling kick, I'm not sure that's got a lot of percentage about it anyway. You've got to have a bit of luck with that sort of kick. I think a drop punt would have been probably required there.
Players love doing them, though.
He had the blinkers on Michael. Playing defence a lot of his career. I thought, I want to get my name in the goal-scoring book.
It's just a danger period here for Melbourne. They've been so good, but North Melbourne in the last 4 or 5 minutes, their key players are starting to get their hands on the footy.
So Bennell, Cheney, Morton, a few of their young players getting a touch here now to Frawley on the open side in game 21.
Good interchange.
Kicks it to Pettit in game 12. So all the young players combining to Miller. Got a hand to it. Off hands, Green, open goal. You betcha. That'll bring Melbourne to life.
The golden rule when you're playing defence, if you're going to go up, get a piece of the ball. Do not allow the ball to go over the back. And we'll just see good passage play for Melbourne. They move the ball quickly and you called it beautifully. Great interchange. Pettit straight onto the bench. Got to get the ball here. But have a look at the kick. Lockie Hansen had to kill the ball. Ball goes in the air. Hansen over the top. The ball spills. Was always going to be a soda for Brad Green. Ordinary defence there from North Melbourne.
Green coming off. We've ticked into time on. Second term. Bruce back on for Melbourne.
Dean Laley wouldn't be too happy with that. Lockie Hansen had to kill the ball to the boundary line.
3 points to margin. Quick toe poke by Maloney to half forward. That'll count. Tackle by Davey. Keeps the ball in. Paul up at half forward will please the Demons.
Brad Miller looking a little bit sore down there. Lee Colbert running off the ground.
Yeah, he's just limping off, waving to the bench, so I'll keep an eye on him, but looks maybe a right leg.
North by 3 points. Urquhart. Quick kick around the body from Hansen. Hoping for Smith, thumped away from him. McIntosh, the toe poke. A little too high on Green. He knew it was coming, the tackle. Slid down cleverly.
Michael, no closer.
6 minutes from half-time. Short. Bruce. Now the leads come. Over the head of Bate. Tough ball. Good fist. Tacked hard, Thompson. Gathers the crumb. Does brilliantly, Thompson. Gives to McMahon. He tries to hack it out of the area. Johnson lurking on the wing. Poor bounce for him. Ferrito collects. McIntosh. Gibson. Oh, done by McDonald. Green on the rebound. Kicks to the pocket. Perfect pass.
He loved
Perfect
that
turnover.
He loved that James McDonald. The handball was set up, but the skipper wanted to assert his influence. That is a ferocious tackle within the rules. Here's Gibson waiting for James to come in and go bang.
Well, Ricky Pettit's had a big influence in this term. He's already kicked one. Just the 2 games last year, rounds 1 and 22, if you can believe that. It's probably a first. And that wobbles across the face. Chance to give Melbourne the lead. They're 2 points down. 5 minutes from half-time.
He's a hard matchup. He's about 6'2", 188. He's very quick. So if you put a taller player on with that leg speed, he'll get off you, and you put a smaller player with leg speed, he'll outmark you.
Hansen gives it off. They get out of trouble after that poor kick in. Wells short. Saw Miller getting some work done on his leg in the dugout. Hopefully that's okay. McIntosh on the wing. Lee Colbert will check on that. Give us an update. Wells. Bright sunshine here at the G. Perfect stage. Season opener for these two teams. Pratt. Thompson. And that's just a long 60-metre bomb. Inside 50 towards Smith. Fists come back of the pack. Thomas lurking. Boundary line looming. And Colin Garland was happy to see it there. Dean Laley on screen. Said pre-game that he was happy with the summer that North Melbourne have had, but the expectation is there with North Melbourne. Expected to win this one. Thomas. Wells needs to find the target. He's got a few to go for. Hands to power. Chip kick inside 50. Perfection. And Harding can line up. I know he's been playing in defence, but former sharpshooter who has won the goal kicking before.
That's my pet 18-foot in our pickers. When you've got a free opponent inside the forward 50 on his own,
Yep,
and you've got
spot.
Yeah, and you've got 3 or 4 Melbourne players defending space.
Well, especially when it was the only real option he had. He was too far out to score, and there were already enough taller players back in the goal square.
Brings that back and sneaks it in. Magnificent kick, Lee Harding.
Well, he's had a pretty reasonable game, Lee Harding, and you can see Dean Bailey up there. He'd be pretty happy with his boys' first half, but you're right, if you're going to guard space, you've at least got to have the awareness, and you can see this here. There are a couple of their key players involved. Wells involved as well. Got a nice little shepherd here if you have a look from the big man. And again on his left side, Power. And look, you can see Harding at the top of the screen there. Two blokes either side, get near him.
Lee Harding, who won the Roos goal kicking way back in 2003 with just 33 goals that year. Back in Lee Colbert's day. Colby.
Yes, mate, Brad Miller just went down at the race. Left ankle, he's getting attention too, so not great news, but hopefully he'll be all right and back.
Swallow. Had it, lost it, got it back, gave it up again. McDonald to half forward. Off hands. Pratt thought it was his. Good tackle. Ball up. Green gave it up to Bate. Rolls it to full forward. Rawlings under pressure. Almost a throw. Davey about to pounce. Laid the tackle. Gathers the ball. Gives to Green through his legs. And jumped on. Pushing the back.
Oh, he slid in underneath him, Brad Green there. I know Andrew Swallows going mad about here, but if you have a look, he just got a bit lower. And, well, he's on his back. I'm sorry, that's a free kick.
Yeah, the knee, unfortunately, was in his back.
Wasn't much in it, but it was in the back.
Simply lower and harder.
Yep.
To cut the margin back to 2 points. It's been an outstanding half of football from these two teams, and Brad Green with the left sees it fade. He'll be disappointed there. He knows half-time's not far away. 27 minutes on the scoreboard. 48 plays 41.
I've really enjoyed the game thus far. Both sides giving their all.
Pratt to Petrie.
That's a terrific kick.
It is.
You could see what was in front of Daniel Pratt there. All the numbers in front of him. Great camera work. And all of a sudden, he just saw the gap. Punch it low to the centre-half back.
Harding holds the ball in the air. Power. Fed forward for him. He gives the signal. We get Lee Colbert to find out what that is.
Oh, he'd know.
I should know, because they probably use the same signal in his day.
I'm tipping it's don't kick to a contest. Hold it up, control the tempo. There's only a minute and a half to go. Let's go in at half-time with a 7-point lead.
They haven't really done a lot with the signals, have they, over the years? John Kennedy had us doing a signal like that in 1989.
Harding.
It's 20 years ago. That was the same signal.
Shady couldn't make something of it initially, but now he gets it. Run down, hands it up. McLean, McDonald, boundary line. Is that deliberate? No, we'll get a ball in.
Yeah, we probably do have to get a little bit more adventurous with maybe the two hands in the air, maybe a bit of, I don't know, a high five work or something, or hold it behind your back.
I reckon you're right, Dwayne. I reckon that was deliberate.
But brilliantly disguised.
It was well disguised.
And the umpire might be forced to sort this out with the ball up as well, umpire Jacob Mollison. So time enough for a score here for either side. Running bounce is an indicator to styles of play. North Melbourne 9, Melbourne 1. And the ball up. The clock ticks. Adam Simpson inside 50. Melbourne with the numbers back. They all fly though. Back of the pack. Lower. Tries to find a handball target. Got a kick away in the end. Cheney with some poise. A debutant to the captain. McDonald. Frawley. And now a chance for another first game at Jamie Bennell in the back pocket to maybe start something with 35 seconds left. Short. Bartram.
Rivers will get this ball.
And dives to take the mark, but the fact is held up.
And he was the one that initiated the third man spoil about 25 seconds ago. So he's having a great impact. There's Rivers again, coming over the top.
He's near the bench here, so he might have been told. Oh, stolen by Zeeble. The first gamer slides it inside 50. Maybe a late chance for a score here for North Melbourne. Bennell cuts it off. He slips it back towards Bruce. Out of trouble. Pop past to Maloney. They need a mark quickly inside 50. He bombs it towards 50. Lead comes. Siren Green.
No. He's trying to claim it. The umpire's going no.
No, it was after. Just after.
He's got it right, Green.
Just before it, mate.
The poker face initially, and then he gave it up, Brad Green. He knew the siren had sounded. An outstanding first half of 2009 football for Melbourne and North Melbourne. Second half coming up, don't go far. North Melbourne lead by 7 points, 48-41.
Half-time here at the MCG and a very entertaining first half of football, and for the Kangaroos by 7 points over the Demons. Lindsay Thomas has been outstanding with a couple of goals, looking very dangerous. Lee Harding's had 15 touches, as has Simpson. For Melbourne, well, their little blokes have been on fire. When you look at Green, Jetta, these sort of players. Also, Brett Maloney's had plenty of the football, nice and hard as well with 14 disposals. And Danny, have a look at some of these possessions. It's a pretty high possession game so far.
Oh, it certainly is. Effective disposals going North Melbourne's way, but the contested possessions going Melbourne. So Dean Laley would be happy with that. Uncontested possessions fairly even. Clearances 18-15. So you expect a pretty close game when you have a look at those stats. Even the running bounce is probably the only difference. Campbell and Thomas having 9-1 North Melbourne's favour.
Yeah, it's interesting. Looking at the clearance factor, they've put a fair bit of effort into it, Melbourne, you'd think, but love the work of some of their younger players in that first quarter, Melbourne, and the first half in particular, I should say. But they've got some kids in their side, but they're playing with some real spunk. Cheney was one of them.
13 disposals. The beauty about his disposals, learn, all lace out. All the direct opponent. Jetta kicked a goal, which is fantastic. Live wire, he complements Aaron Davey beautifully. The forward pressure from both teams with Campbell and Thomas up the other end, but Jetta has been terrific. Just see the pressure on the North Melbourne ball carriers. He goes back, kicks a goal there, and all the Melbourne players, get around him. And there he goes, Spencer in the ruck. Yep, just hands it off. And I think you want that from a ruckman. He's competed pretty hard, so Dean Bowe will be pretty happy with his 4 youngsters.
Well, they've got 4, as you say, 4 young players debuting, but they've also got a number of players in only their second and third years as well. It's a young squad, but I've been impressed with what I've seen of Melbourne in the first half. Now, the Kangaroos, North Melbourne, in the first half as well, they've got the Cracker brothers up in the forward line, and Lindsay Thomas and also Matty Campbell, who they were just brilliant in the first quarter in particular. Thomas has worked extremely hard.
He has. He's won a number of possessions, kicked 3 goals between them. I think what they've done, they've confused the Melbourne back half, and you just see the run through the middle of the ground. They've had over 20 possessions between them, Campbell and Thomas, and they kicked 3 goals. What they do, they both start on the half-forward line, then one of them looks at each other, and then they'll just go round the back half, and a run goes. And that's why North Melbourne have had 9 running bounces to 1 Melbourne's favour, and I think that's really good. They've got a lot of connection there between those two boys, as we see Thomas give it to Campbell, and of course the forward pressure also pickers.
Well, you have a look at if you've got the pace, it's what coaches love. They love it when the guys with pace actually put defensive pressure on inside the forward 50. Campbell was one of the leaders in that last year for North Melbourne, I think something like 30 tackles. Daniel Wells has had an interesting game. He's up over 10 possessions now. Every time he gets the footy, we know something special comes out of it for North Melbourne.
It's been a good duel between himself and Cameron Bruce. Dean Laley tried to push him forward, hoping that Bruce would go back with him, but I've liked his game. He's had a little bit of heat on him. You see Bruce in the corner of the screen there. He's used the ball extremely well. If he can just step up and have a 20 possession second half, I think that'll be enough for North Melbourne to get over the line. If Brent Harvey can have some impact as well, you'd expect Melbourne to keep at it, but Dean Laley would just want a little bit more than, as I said, if he can have a 20 possession second half, I think North Melbourne will get the chocolates.
Well, he's a very talented player, as you know. Harvey hasn't had a massive impact, I should say, at this stage. He's had players running with him all day, but he's played a lot in the forward line as well.
Bartram's did an outstanding job. Dean Laley's had to push Harvey forward. He kicked a goal, but I think Bartram would hold sway at this stage.
It's actually hard to give a tip at this stage. You'd think North Melbourne's experience might get him over the line in the end, but at half-time, if you're Dean Bailey, you'd be pretty happy.
I think Dean Laley will be hoping North Melbourne would be 3 or 4 goals up at three-quarter time. If it's love all at three-quarter time, I think the advantage goes Melbourne's way.
Well, at the moment, it's 7 points, the advantage to North Melbourne, but the Demons there, and you can see Sean Wellman, they've got plenty of work to do, but they're loving their action at the moment.
Welcome back to the Melbourne Cricket Ground, bathed in bright sunshine here on this Sunday afternoon, round 1. North Melbourne up against Melbourne. Brent Harvey on screen, the captain of North Melbourne, trying to lead his team from the front. Just 11 possessions in the opening half. And he did get 6 Brownlow votes against Melbourne last year. He was best on ground in both games against the Demons, so they know they have to stop Brent Harvey. Magnificent blue sky, as you can see, gentlemen, and this has been an outstanding contest to watch.
It certainly has. I'll head down to Lee Colbert shortly. Brad Miller, how was he? Because he went into the room just before half-time, Colby.
Yeah, I actually was down in the dugout, and he was getting his ankle re-strapped, so he was pretty confident then that he'll be back playing in this second half, so I look forward to seeing how he goes. But it's his left ankle, and he's out there.
Oh, it's a positive for the Melbourne Footy Club because their backline, I think they've been pretty good, the young backline there, Pickers, and it'll be interesting to see how they start. I would have thought at three-quarter time, if it's a love-all draw, all the pressure would be on North Melbourne. I think Dean Lady would be really stressed to his players at half-time. We need to break away. We've got a 7-point lead. Let's break it out to 3 or 4 goals.
Well, that's the group that have been so good in the first half. Frawley, Garland playing the key position. Rivers has been very good, nice and hard. And then those young players, Warnock's been good, but Cheney and Bennell have been very good. Their ball use has been good. They've created run from defence, and they've got a big job because North Melbourne loaded up with Petrie and also Hale as their tall targets, but Smith's been pretty good as well. The damage has been done by the 2 little blokes, and we talk of Campbell and Thomas up there. They've been the 2 most dangerous players, and you can see again there, those 2 tall timbers there, Hale and also Petrie, they just haven't been able to take really a contested mark inside forward 50, but the little blokes have been good.
And Brent Harvey, the skipper's been okay, but Bartram's played a pretty close tagging role on him. Both Harvey and Wells starting out of the square, so interesting for North Melbourne. They're 2 playmakers out of the square early.
7 points the margin as we start this second half of the MCG. Round 1 contest for these 2 teams. North Melbourne going in with the expectation that they would win. The Demons winning the wooden spoon last year. Again from the ball up, Spencer, the first gamer. Got a hand on it. Not decisively. Jones, spot onto the pack, can't get it out. Get a ball up.
And again, we've got Jared Rivers free for Melbourne and Daniel Pratt free for North Melbourne. So there's Rivers there with Ed Lower.
McIntosh with the slap. Ferrito pursued by McDonald. Left it behind, went back, got it, through traffic, caught, and the gang tackle. Well stolen by McLean. To Green. Pratt read that beautifully.
Well, he's on his own, Dwayne. He's Jared Rivers' direct opponent.
So he thumps this wide.
Well, it wasn't a great option, really.
Tough ball for Harvey.
Well, he's had 1 on 2, basically.
Green and Bartram met a little high. Part of the crowd saw it, the Melbourne crowd saw it. Thought a free kick was warranted. Bartram doesn't get it.
I've loved the tackling today, Pickers. They've tackled with plenty of aggression.
Certainly have. Harding in a new role, playing more in the midfield this year. Been pretty good, too.
2 against Spencer that time. And Jake Spencer wins it. Edged out, according to the umpire.
Going back to the Pratt kick, I mean, he really needed to use the ball a bit better as we have a look at the free kick. Oh, yeah, it's a definite push. He needed to use, he just kicked to a 1-on-1 with pretty much support there with Melbourne. So you've got to use the footy if you're coming out of the fence and you've got no real pressure on you.
So back to Cheney. First gamer with the little 1-2, and it's worked pretty well. Warnock back to Spencer. McDonald. Hard to duck out of a Pratt tackle. Garland thrown down. Rawlings ties it up.
Or a Ferrito tackle for that matter.
And what's happening at the moment is Rivers is getting tagged by Lower, so Cheney could be free for Melbourne now.
McIntosh with the fingertip down to Ferrito, but he missed it. Spencer. Jones. Garland. Cheney again. Almost a general in his first game playing as the quarterback from half-back. Bruce, chipped kick. McDonald needs to hit the target. 15-metre kick inside 50. Tough for Bruce. Thompson attacked it. McIntosh. And they've got 3, the Kangaroos. Rawlings. They'll all get a touch, perhaps. Harding takes it to Petrie. Over his head. Poor kick. Cheney feeds back, and it stays alive for him. Handball not so good. Hale. Use some strength. Thumps it inside 50. Only Smalls for North Melbourne down there. Garland Quick collect.
Oh.
Kick to Jones, not so good. Wells tap to advantage. Look out from 50. Scything kick to Petrie. Plays on and goals. Took the chance. 6 points.
Just a couple of turnovers there for Melbourne, unfortunately. James McDonald early going inside their forward 50, and then we just see a turnover in the crucial part of the ground, in the corridor. And when it goes to Daniel Wells in his hands, he had the great awareness just to get the ball to Drew Petrie. Nothing the Melbourne defence could do on those 2 turnovers, because what happens is you find yourself out of position, the forwards are in great position, and that is a very good goal for North Melbourne.
Drew Petrie coming off an outstanding season. Only just missed All-Australian. Did win himself an international rules jumper and the vice-captaincy after his second in the best and fairest. He is a key. Important goal there. 54-41. North Melbourne by 13 points. The biggest the lead's been for over an hour. McLean. The toe poke out of the congestion. Thompson attacked it, got a shin on it. Green tried to slip a handball out, missed the target. Hanson, Thompson, Power with some poise.
Oh.
Harding used the body spectacularly good.
Ferrudo's on in the middle if you can find him.
Well, he might go the whole way here.
Good.
Short pass instead. So the mark taken by Campbell. About 35 out.
Been good, Lee Harding. 17 possessions, leading possession winner on the ground, and he's actually taking on the opposition with his pace. It's one of his great strengths, and he'd be enjoying this new role.
Campbell, another player who, with an outstanding season, earned an international rules jumper last year. And that was never in doubt. 2 goals to start this 3rd term for North.
It's amazing. Melbourne have had 20 disposals at the start of this 3rd quarter. North Melbourne have only had 13. So it comes down to ball use pickers, because North Melbourne kicked 2 majors, and it really does hurt you in today's football if you don't continually hit your teammate up with possession, because what you find, you'll find yourself chasing, running 100, 150 metres, and this is a worrying time for Melbourne now. Just need to show some composure when they've got the ball.
Five and a half minutes gone, 3rd term. Melbourne yet to add to their half-time score. Dean Bailey and co in that box.
Well,
obviously concerned.
Setup's interesting at the moment. Melbourne just 3 players inside the front half of the ground, really. A lot of players up around the wing.
McIntosh, Ferrito, sold the dummy, rolls it inside 50. It's not such a bad ball considering they got some smalls down there. Lower, wrapped up, got it out, forced to lay the tackle, and Clint Bartram going nowhere. 60 plays 41, 19 points the margin, the biggest lead of the game so far. Zeeble on the bench.
Look at the numbers around the footy.
Wells somehow extracts a kick. Campbell, Chaney fell. Campbell kept his feet, keeps the ball alive. Rawlings
Set him up.
big fist away. Swallow thumps it out towards Pratt, who's a long way down from half-back, lurking, threw it up. Pettit couldn't get a decisive handball. Swallow does. Rawlings rolls it towards Thomas. The live wire. 3rd grab, he got it, but he couldn't get the handball up. Jones, now some space for Melbourne. Miller forced it backtrack, took the mark. Not a lot to go to. Thumps it long, and Scott Thompson should swallow this. Flies, that'll do. McMahon with the crumb.
Miller had to know that Bate was 3-on-1. He shouldn't have played on. He had to have game sense there behind him, knowing it was 3 or 4 free North Melbourne players. He's one of the leaders. Just hold the ball up and allow your midfield to come down and play 1-on-1. You see him here playing on. Look at the North Melbourne players on screen.
Yeah.
Not good game sense.
That accentuated your point, that picture. Rawlings. And here North Melbourne now wanting to maintain possession. Keep the foot down on Melbourne's throat. 19 points the margin. Don't turn it over. Rawlings from half-back. Couple of options. Had Ferrito a little longer. Goes to Wells.
Well, he didn't blaze away. Exactly what Danny Frawley's point was a minute ago.
And now Harvey in a one-on-one. Tough one for Bartram. Harvey turns him around. Sprints back onto it. shrugs him. Oh, it turns him around again. Bounces inside 50. He might as well go for it. Centres the ball and there was no one there. Green had a hard go at it, couldn't collect it and dispose of it correctly. Bartram. Johnson. The big man, clever.
Did well.
McDonald. Melbourne on the rebound. Open forward line again for them. Quick handball to Miller. Can he do better this time? Sends it long to the pocket. Good fist though, Scott Thompson. Thumps it out of play.
Well, that was better. That's the time to go inside your forward 50 when you've got one-on-ones. Better play there for Melbourne.
Been impressed with your neighbour today, Dwayne. This bloke here, that's another good spoil by Thompson.
He's played in 3 premierships in the last 5 years, so he certainly knows how to play. A couple at South Barwon and the other one in Geelong's VFL team. So he has some poise under pressure. Farito, wide. Hanson, Rawlings. He can get the 1-2 here. Rawlings can shepherd, or he let the player come at him. Didn't put any pressure on the kick, though. Thomas takes the mark.
He'll go to Wells here, is he?
Low trajectory, tough to mark. Petrie, front spot. Couldn't take the mark. Lower, tries to shrug the tackle. Can't, no prior opportunity. Threw it out. The umpire will be forced to sort it out.
You fumble, the pressure triples in today's footy. Petrie had first option on the ball. You see Frawley behind. You see Drew. Just a little fumble, although not a bad spoil there from young Jones.
Umpires found a free, and it's North Melbourne's ball. The push out. Petrie to take it.
Don't have to look. Don't have to look. Go the ball.
These ones hurt, these free kicks in these areas.
Mark's there.
It's funny when you look at these and the players say, look at the screen, but the screen very rarely ever saves them.
And then out first and then the ball. It's a
What?
free.
The umpires don't reverse the free when they look at the screen to see it was wrong?
Surprisingly.
That was use of the body that sometimes gets allowed. Petrie, that's what he has ahead of him. And they breathe a sigh of relief. Melbourne fans should have nailed that, Drew Petrie.
I think the mistake Paul Johnson made there was with the hands. I think the body use was okay to get him out, but you have to keep his hands in the air in the art of ruck work. His hands were too parallel.
And I trust your judgment on that, Danny, because quite often in your day, the ruckman didn't come back to help a hand in defence. It was the fullback who had to do the work from the throw-ins.
I didn't want him back there half the times one. They got him road.
McLean shoots it out to Green. Jones, Maloney. Can they make something of this to half forward? Jetta. He's got two options. Sends it wide. Morton.
Terrible.
Hale. Hale did well, just the tap back and threw Morton away. Morton wins the free.
They're getting enough of the ball, Melbourne. They just need to score a major here in the next 3 or 4 minutes.
Just his 4th possession of the game, Kyle Morton.
Go on, please, Carl. Play on.
Johnson.
Look at those numbers back
Yeah,
there.
he'll
for
have to
North
spot a
Melbourne.
target.
You see Miller there with the long, but he's going to have to go up against 4 blokes here.
Throws it up in hope. Miller does go up.
Gee.
Little handball out towards Bate was good.
God.
Bate dragged down.
Well,
No prior opportunity according to the umpire.
I reckon he did have prior opportunity there, Matthew Bate.
Time to look.
It looked to me like he had time to put it under his arm nearly.
As soon as he got it.
Oh, no, that's a bit tough. He took half a step anyway.
Johnson, front spot. McIntosh from behind. Important ball up. Zeeble. He got the handball from Hanson. Kicks it wide. Bounce out would have been kind there for Rawlings, and he might drag Green out regardless. Green gets the handball away. Jones. Big kick this.
Oh.
Banana, superb Ricky Pettit. They needed that. That's his 2nd.
Well, there's a brilliant bit of play, and sometimes when the tide's all in favour of North Melbourne, something special needs to happen. I love the attack on the ball by Brad Green. His teammates getting over to him. You can see here he takes his body through the line of the ball, and sometimes that's all you can do. He kept it alive, though, and then the little give by Jones. And, well, it was a special kick because there was pressure coming from the front, so he had to kick the banana on the run, which low percentage kick, but great finish.
Back to 14 points.
They needed that, Melbourne. They needed reward for effort. They've had enough of the ball. They're equal in disposal, so they desperately needed a goal and gets them back into the game.
Poor bounce. It favoured
Recall, guys.
Johnson. It's been recalled.
Reset the square.
Hey, James!
Brad, Lee, quick.
Reset the
Ball's
square.
up there. What are we doing down here?
Hey, everyone out.
Right out, guys.
You can hear the umpires
Thanks,
explaining
guys.
just the fours allowed inside the square for the throw up.
Flat.
Petrie, but down to
Guys,
McLean.
play on,
Kick
play
smothered.
on.
Wells tried to tow it off the deck. Bruce, body on the line.
In the back.
Won himself a free.
Have you
Cameron
seen
Bruce.
McLean's game? Because
No, they need more from Brock McLean. He's had 11 possessions, but he's going at 50% by foot. I think he just needs to get a bit more involved in the game. He hasn't been the worst player on the ground by any stretch, but I suppose the expectations on him are a bit higher.
Morton's kick made it impossible for Miller. McMahon on screen put it out of play. There's Brock McLean. Little tap down. Again, Maloney tries to burst through, but can't.
too high.
McDonald wins the free.
Well, you can tell he's going to play a free kick because he started with his hands at head high. You just see his hands coming up. You've got to shoot from the hips. When you tackle, you shoot from the hips and then you keep your hands low away from the head and the neck region. You start flying your arms around above your shoulders, you're always a chance to give a free kick away.
He wants to pass. He rarely kicks goals. He's already had a shot today and missed from closer. Only the one goal last year. There's the hesitation from James McDonald.
Take his best work.
And he pops it up, hoping for a mark on the line off hands. Jetta couldn't get a boot on it. Pratt had it, lost it. Gibson had it stolen. Jetta back again. Bate slips a handball out. Bruce one way then the other, straight up in the air. 4 North Melbourne players under it. The umpire yelled play on. Zeeble had it, gave it to Petrie. Thumps it out of the area, but it's all Melbourne. It's about the bounce here, and it favours Maloney. And they'll reload.
Switch out the other side here now.
Garland. Jetta, just the one-handed go from the first gamer there. McMahon holding the ball. Crowd enjoyed that. Big Melbourne crowd in to watch this. They've got hope back, the Demons.
A few mistakes starting to creep into the game. Fatigue starting to set in a little bit. Halfway during the third quarter, the lactic's building up in the muscles.
Well, if you want to have, we talked about this before, this is where you can often set up have a shot at goal around about 53, 54 metres. You need it in your best kick's hands, and he is the best kick at Melbourne. Certainly not beyond him here.
Green, long, it drifts and pulls back. Judged it perfectly, and Melbourne are back through it.
Well called, Pickers. He's a very good player, Brad Green. He's had the 17 disposals, 16 disposals, 2 goals, and that's a great return halfway into the third quarter for any midfielder. But it's been the tackling pressure. I think Dean Bailey, out of the game, would be wrapped with the intent to tackle and dispose of the North Melbourne players. North Melbourne pride themselves on the contest and the defensive pressure, but Melbourne are equal to the task.
Ball.
As so often happens, gets a rest for his trouble. Second goal for Brad Green. Third and the best and fairest last year. The best finish in his 9 seasons at the club. Was overlooked for the captaincy. That was essentially a leader's goal. Jones. Bruce. 61 to 53. 17 minutes gone, third term. Pettit. North Melbourne flood back. Garland.
David, Bailey.
Composure's been pretty good so far. In this last sort of 5 or 6 minutes, the Demons, they haven't coughed it up like they did earlier in the quarter.
Back to Pettit.
They need plenty of movement now. There's 2 or 3 free North Melbourne opponents.
Throws it up, hoping for Miller or anyone. Ball thumped down towards Miller, and he kicks it out of play on the full. Not the best of options there.
He put his hand up. I think he knew his preferred option there was to either hit it towards the goal square, a la Wayne Harmes, or get the hands onto it.
The ball was where it is now when Wayne Harmes knocked it in.
Yeah, you're right, though. That was the worst result possible, is what they got.
Ask any Collingwood supporter, Dwayne, they said it was in the 4th row.
Scott McMahon. Heard the umpire say, come on, Scott. Can't rush it behind, of course. Urquhart put him under pressure. Yeah, he beats Morton off, and then the handball's terrible. Miller, that's a better kick. Oh, no, it's not.
You can't panic in this game, and that's exactly what North did then. Was the panic merchant, get it out of my hands, pass it on. You've got to be a bit more composed than that.
Well, what happens is fatigue. It makes cowards of everyone. It starts to fatigue your brain as well, and you just start panicking. And the word both coaches should be using to their players at the moment, just remain composed. I know you're tired. We've been trained for 5.5 months now. Just do the basics well.
Smith, Rawlings, Swallow, and now Zeeble, all a possession as North Melbourne maintain possession. Zeeble tries to pinpoint a pass to Hale, missed him. Gee, Bartram left that behind. That was poor, but he made amends, mopped up his own mess. McLean to Jones. Oh, Wells with the fly and the fist down. Ball back alive again. Jones tried to trap it. Hand up from Smith. Harvey loves a snap. It's across the face. Ball still alive, though, again. Frawley couldn't mark it. Tap down to Bruce. Back to Frawley. And the clean-up job again from the defenders. McLean, McDonald to the open side. Not a lot to go to. Bates the long kick option. Morton in a one-on-one was the poor option. Petrie picked it off. Back towards Campbell. Missed him. Jones. A little untidy at the moment, but exciting.
Turn around lower.
And Lower and Bruce go at it. Lower with a big thump.
They're blazing away, both teams at the moment.
Davey the goose step. Bruce.
Takes your leader now. If your leaders of your team, just say, boys, just relax. We're bombing away. We're going outside our style of play.
Jetta to Pettit, back to Jetta, hunted down by Urquhart, and the ball out of play through Gibson. This game on the line, it's a 7-point lead to North Melbourne as we tick into time on in the third.
How about looking down there, Lee Colbert, the players on and off the bench?
Oh, mate, the intention's there from both teams, but as you mentioned, the ball's just spilling over, both teams giving it up in the last couple of minutes.
Maloney threw out the handball to Buckley. Centering kick. Garland can go. He looks up. Not a lot around. Oh, he kicked it to Harding. Oncoming man. Harding rolls it to his own advantage. He's half held. He wins the free. He wants to play on. He's got loose men. Adam Simpson. He can stroll into 50 and nail the goal. Looks up. Sends it long. Drop punt. Goal line. It's there. Awesome.
That's leadership. That's the best form of leadership. Get the ball in your leader's hands. And Lee Harding, he's been outstanding today. Just about the best player on the ground at the moment. Halfway during the third quarter, 19 disposals. But it was that magnificent smother. Garland will learn from that. Not a lot of awareness. Had to know that Harding was bearing down. But have a look at the kick to space here. And then the former skipper, the veteran Adam Simpson, say, I'll take it upon myself to kick a team goal.
And if you read the scouting report on Adam Simpson, it says that his disposal is not clean under pressure and he rarely kicks goals. Just 4 goals in 21 games last year. But you've got to remind yourself he's a 2-time premiership player and he does like the big stage. McIntosh back inside 50. Hale. North Melbourne inspired at the moment. Hale kept the ball in his area. It comes out. The umpire had the whistle up. Jones. McDonald. Morton.
Maloney's on if you can find him.
Maloney can get and go here. Gathers. Stop for a second. Over the head of Bate. Now it's tough. Petrie. Threw up the handball, missed the target. Green, he ducked into that. Petrie's got him. Umpire says 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
No easy ball to win at ground level today. Good decision for the umpire.
Some umpires might even pay that holding the ball.
There was one paid, I think, either Friday night or Thursday night. It was exactly the same, but I reckon that's a ball up.
Rawlings, Morton from 45. Big kick this, and he got it there.
Goals from stoppages inside forward 50. North Melbourne coach Dean Bailey will be hemorrhaging over that. If you have a look at this, the ball goes out. Now, great bit of play by Davey, but when you get a little quick kick out, there are always players setting up defensively, and Morton positioned himself beautifully there to be facing goal. And when the errant kick come from Rawlings, I should say, he was there with space as well, and we know he can kick a goal. He kicked plenty last year.
One of the early picks that Melbourne has been able to grab in the last few years. Kyle Morton, a pick 4 back in 2007. And it's game on again. 7 points the margin.
Mine, mine.
Simpson. Bouncing ball. Again, Chaney attacks it brilliantly. Maloney. Frawley. Rivers. Chaney. It's been good on debut. The boys there to Maloney. And now Bennell. Another first gamer, sends it long and high. Tough one to mark. Oh, good float back by McIntosh.
Well, one thing, we're probably a bit critical of Hamish McIntosh. Watched a lot of him playing in the VFL when he was developing, saw a lot of him as a kid. And even the year where he was near All-Australian, he did get a lot of possessions outside the corridor, but that sort of mark is exactly what's required from a big bloke. Not always out wide, not always linking up, but sometimes getting in the corridor and standing your ground is what's required, and that was a beautiful mark at a very important time.
Hanson, Thompson, Urquhart. They maintain possession. 4:20 on the clock. Now McMahon got away from Green.
Stay there.
Everyone takes a breath. Hot day here in Melbourne. Tough conditions. Three-quarter time can't come quickly enough for some. That's a good, strong grab by Smith.
Where you are. On the line.
Frawley's hurt.
Don't go in, trainer.
Josh Smith short for Rito. All the way to half forward without Melbourne touching it. Pratt.
Play on.
And now the bomb. Melbourne with the numbers. And there's Chaney again.
Outstanding first game. It was 20th disposal, and he's going at 95%. I spoke too early.
He's now 93%.
Swallowed that, unfortunately, for Kyle Chaney. And Kyle Chaney, he couldn't get a regular spot in Melbourne's VFL team last year. He has been on the list for a year, of course. Picked 53 back in 2007.
Oh, this is good play by McIntosh and very, very poor defensive play by Melbourne. You got Paul Johnson on the mark. I mean, his direct opponent is pushed into space.
Well, Paul Johnson has to take some ownership too, Pickers, because if you're on the mark, the first thing you do is look for your direct opponent who's in the midfield, and it's a ruckman. Need to at least direct traffic.
McIntosh. That is sensational. Umpire did not move. Margin out to 13.
You mentioned this game, and I often say this, is that the game rewards players that really put in and go back the other end of the ground. He took a saving mark in defence, Hamish McIntosh. Then he gets forward and he pushes and gets on the end of one as well. It's got a funny habit, this game, of rewarding blokes that really work hard. And his effort in this quarter so far has been sensational in the ruck. And that is a very, very good finish.
This is his 7th season, Hamish McIntosh. Picked 9 back in 2002. 2 important goals today. He's back in the middle. Clearance important here. Ferrito nearly won it. Johnson back in. Tapped it to his own advantage. Jetta tried to manufacture something. All the way to half forward for Melbourne, but Pratt, Zeeble, and here they go. McIntosh again. Tough ball to mark. Campbell, one grab, not the second. Claims he was held. Frawley throws out the handball. Maloney takes on Campbell. He just put his head down and said, I'm running through you. Chaney can't run through power. Dragged down. No prior opportunity. 13 points the margin.
Paul Johnson has to take responsibility for McIntosh. We see Spencer going into the ruck. Spencer started on the forward pocket. When you're in the ruck and contesting the centre bounce, you've got to stay with your direct opponent and then hand over. Paul Johnson just went straight towards goal and let McIntosh on his own.
Zeeble, Maloney, Morton, all having a touch. We're inside 2 minutes to three-quarter time. Every possession crucial. Push in the back. Swallow quickly. Threw it up to Power. Smith,
Out the
back of the pack. Harding tried to sock her off the deck. Melbourne trying to hold it in without making it obvious. Get away with it. Good spot for a ball up, though, for North Melbourne.
Yeah, it is, because it's actually nearly too far out to knock through, because it's about 12 metres out. And if North puts someone on the other side...
Ball kept alive by Ferrito. Caught. Almost threw that out. Maloney feeds it back. McLean.
He won't have a lot to go to because most of the Melbourne players in the defensive 50.
Johnson, McLean. Out of play almost will do. Jetta cut off by Urquhart. Maybe one last chance for a North Melbourne score. Short to Harding, fortuitously. Throws it up high. Petrie can't feed back. Harvey's got 3 to beat. He got a hand on it, Brent Harvey. Rivers, one hand on it, Swallow the other hand. Ball up, and again, a ball up in a good spot for North Melbourne.
Most important disposal now is the entry inside forward 50. I know, but Ferrito was on. They'll have a look at the tape again, and Michael Ferrito was free on that instance, but yet went to a 2-on-3.
The ruckman tie up, scooped out. Smith. Garland got a toe on it, and that's not deliberate. It's a ball in. Matthew Warnock on screen.
The last thing Dean Bailey and Melbourne need is a goal here. That's why we've got so many numbers around the ball. You have a look at this stoppage. There's 33 players around the ball nearly.
Quarters ended early for Wells. Petrie stole it and missed. It's a 14-point margin. And Melbourne, you wouldn't think would have time enough to score here, but time enough for a turnover. Garland entrusted with the kick in.
Yeah, the little outlet kick's probably the way to go here.
Davey. Seconds roll.
Yep, you can see Aaron Davey just saying, look, and that's not a wave of his arms to try and fly. He's actually saying to the boys, let's just hold on here.
North Melbourne need to not worry about the zone now in this stage of the game and play man on man and force Melbourne to kick to a contest.
Morton, Bartram. Almost get the impression back to Morton that North Melbourne are happy to go in with this lead now. Stop Melbourne from scoring. Davey. Johnson. And that should do us. The season opener for Melbourne and North Melbourne, and it'll go down to the wire. 3/4 time at the MCG. North Melbourne by 14 points, 11-8-74 to 9-6-60. Three-quarter time at the MCG. North Melbourne by 14 points. The Demons on the ropes, but you sense they've got a punch left as we head downstairs to a man who's, well, in the sun at the punt road end. Lee Colbert, welcome back, Lee.
Thanks, Dwayne. Yes, I took a good look at both teams at the three-quarter time break, and the Kangaroos especially had probably 9, 10, 11 guys down getting rubs and treatment for cramp and those in the calves. But interestingly, yesterday, down in this end, the punt road end, the sun played a factor in this last quarter. Travis Cloak was one in particular, couldn't mark the ball because looking directly into the sun. It's going to be Melbourne this quarter. They're going to have to feature and actually take care of that sun being in their eyes. Back to you, boys.
Thanks, Colby. It was a factor yesterday as the Melbourne players break. Scores were level here at quarter time. It's a 7-point lead to North Melbourne at half-time. They've been able to double that to 14 points at three-quarter time, but you do get the sense that the way Melbourne broke from that three-quarter time huddle there, enthusiasm in that three-quarter time huddle. They've got a roll of the dice left in this round one encounter at the MCG. And gentlemen, that sun has been in the same spot at 4:30 of a Saturday afternoon and a Sunday afternoon for 100 years, hasn't it?
It certainly has. It was interesting to watch yesterday because there were 3 or 4 times yesterday, especially late in the game, where Collingwood players in particular completely lost the ball. But you would think even with the stand being a bit taller, it might have a bit more shade. But they certainly had issues with it yesterday. Maybe the sun's been out for, as you say, 100 years.
Well, I'm with Dwayne on this one. I don't think we're going to come to the stage where the captain says, I'll kick against the sun. It's fair enough, but it is a good point. I think what we need to do is just mainly focus on the contest, because it has been a magnificent contest this for 3 quarters. Let's bring it home, Dwayne.
14 points. It's only worth 4 points this game, but round 1, it seems as if they're worth 8 or 12 from the ball up. Urquhart throws it wide to Harvey, corralled by Bartram. And a bouncing ball to half forward. Cole Chaney been sensational. To Maloney.
Been pretty good too.
15, play on, play on.
Not the greatest of kicks from Garland, but it comes off. McLean. They maintain possession. Bate. Jetta thumped away from Jetta, but he's back onto it. And gets the free for too high.
Scott.
It's great to have that leg speed. It drew the free kick, his speed.
Picked 51 in the last year's draft. He's been good today. Tries to find Miller, who keeps it alive, but fortuitously for him, rolled out just as Harding was about to pounce. Ball in.
Pretty open stoppage there for Melbourne. They're a chance.
Johnson down, Miller. Swallow hit high. Swallow to take it, if he can do that. Was around the throat as he goes wide to Rawlings. But he's okay, Swallow. Trainers waved away. There's that signal.
The John Kennedy signal there, Lamp.
Yep. Something new they're working on.
Hale caught behind, forced to spoil. Ball down. Tackle laid by Harvey. Pops out the back. Everybody looking at the umpire for a ball up.
We've got one-on-ones all over the ground, so we're going to have a arm wrestle here nice and early for the first 5 or 6 minutes.
McIntosh with the initial knockdown. It is strange to see one-on-ones everywhere.
Well, it is, and it'll be interesting to see out of these stoppages who can get clean possession, more importantly, get to one of the midfielders running into space.
Everybody in pairs at the ball up, around the ground.
And Lee's jumper before he got rid of it, Lee Harding.
Lee Harding's ball, jumper held before he went near it. Been good today, Lee Harding.
One Clint.
Possession number 21 coming up. Leads all possession getters for North Melbourne. Tough one for Harvey. Almost equal to it. Taps it away. Maloney, Harvey, they both go in hard. Maloney down to Johnson. Morton needs to hit a target here. Sold the dummy, he just stumps it long. Thompson's down there, Miller, off hands, Jetta, it didn't bounce kindly for him. Scott Thompson over to Pratt, and they're away on the open side. Rawlings can run. Looks up, he's got a couple of targets short. Urquhart. And now the wide ball, Power.
Wells is breaking the space.
Good man to give it to on 50. He can set it up. Spears the pass. Campbell, outstanding football.
Impossible to defend that kick. That was a great transference of play for North Melbourne. They switched the play, they then brought it out to the other side. It was for the hard running from Daniel Wells that we see here, but he had the awareness to play on, knowing there's one-on-ones inside the forward 50 and kick the ball to space.
2 metres.
To push the margin out to 20.
Go over.
That's what he has ahead of him. And it doesn't come back enough for him. Only a behind. Poor miss.
I'll go back to the Carl Morton kick inside forward 50. The long bomb worked probably 10 years ago, but if it doesn't come off and you can't control the ball when it hits the deck, you've got loose players everywhere. North Melbourne were able to run it from that contest all the way along the wing to the other side of the ground to Wells back to Campbell. So it's all well and good the long kick if it comes off one-on-one, but when you're kicking to a pack of 3 or 4 players, good luck.
Garland to Chaney to Frawley. 2 1-on-1, and Rivers the tie-up with Rawlings, ball out of play. Here it is here.
See, and you have a look at this, they'll outnumber them on the ground. Now, you can say there's a little bit of luck, a good bounce there and they were away, but on the transfer, it's all North Melbourne.
That long kick had to go to space. He puts that ball to space. It gives the forward something to run onto. He kicked it on top of the forwards' heads.
Swallow to Urquhart to Pratt. And Pratt pinpoints a pass, or at least makes it easy for Lower. Hands it up. McIntosh from 50. That's goal. He's got 3.
He's going to start. We talked about the arm wrestle at the start of this last quarter, and we thought which midfielder is going to run forward out of the stoppage. I've got to be honest, I didn't expect it to be Hamish McIntosh, and that is good running. He created the first tap, but then had the awareness to run forward. And Paul Johnson, at times, he just spectates the ball. I think he'll learn from this. He just needs to know when North Melbourne have got the ball, he needs to man up the dangerous player. When you kick 3 goals in the ruck, you've had a very good game.
Handy time to push out to your biggest lead of the game. 21 points, North Melbourne.
Okay, guys, eyes on it.
And the Demons almost on the canvas in round 1. From the ball up, Swallow. Hanson threw it away.
Well, it's interesting to see Carl Morton now going back as the loose man in defence for Melbourne, or he did for that bounce.
Bartram wide. Terrible kick. Thompson, we had it knocked away from him. Miller, important kick this. Needs to kick centrally or kick the goal. Kick centrally, hoping for Pettit, missed him. And McMahon takes it away with a blind turn. Pratt, similar turn, back to McMahon. Some poise, just don't turn it over. Draw the tackler, give it off. Rawlings. Tough kick to mark from Urquhart's boot. Campbell in the pocket, hoping for some magic. Thomas, Campbell, they're both there. How the umpires see this. He'll ball it up, Shane McInerney.
They've got a dangerous forward set up with Wells, Campbell and Thomas all inside 50. It's a bit of a worry here for Melbourne.
Warnock and McDonald tried to knock it opposite directions. Burnell on the end of the handball, sends it wide. Bartram and Harvey. Harvey, Bartram. 1-on-1, they both go down. Harvey dives back in. Bartram went lower, got the free. Ball still alive. Bate, he can go all the way to full forward. Looks up, kicks into the oncoming man. Adam Simpson rolls the handball in the Wells direction. Missed it. Bate. Bruce shrugs the tackle. And sends it way, way wide. Out of play on the full from Cameron Bruce.
It's twice in this half. We've seen Melbourne players about 60 metres out, kick the ball and get it smothered. Once from Adam Simpson, one from Lee Harding. Trying to look for an open spot, but you've still got to have an awareness of where your opponent is when you kick the ball.
Power, Gibson, Simpson, back toward Gibson from Simpson. And Warnock sees it out.
You look at three-quarter time at the two teams. North looked a lot tighter. They were all sitting down, getting a bit of work on their calves, hamstrings, etc., etc. But young players, as enthusiastic as they are, haven't been in this intensity before, and the experienced players in North Melbourne look like they've got all the running at the moment.
The first game of Spencer back into the ruck toward Maloney. Hacks it out of the area, didn't know what was there. Sent it down the throat of Hamish McIntosh. Kicked to half forward. Campbell a little nudge, no free. Morton gives it to Jones. Thomas hunted him down. Garland under pressure. Urquhart wraps him up. Maloney backtracks. Handball loose. Zeeble tried to cut it off. Urquhart again. Out to Campbell. Thump onto Thomas. Pocket. Boundary line. Maloney. He keeps it alive. Maloney dives in. Well played, both players. Garland shoots it up. Rivers caught. Jones. Garland. Buckley in trouble, out of trouble. Warnock needs a kick here, and he puts it over the head of Bartram. Gibson will be happy to see this out. They keep it on their forward line, North Melbourne.
That's just been the difference today, the experience, just that finishing skills of Melbourne. And that, look, it will come. It will come with confidence. And they're in a position where they're still in the game, but they're just hurt themselves by disposal at the moment.
From the ball in, Hale. The knockdown found Jones, who gave to Bruce. Pettit played for the free, didn't get it. McMahon didn't ride him, and he'll get the reward. Got it from McIntosh. Hands to Harvey. He won't turn it over. Scott Thompson, who's been good again today. And he can go back to Pratt if he likes, or down the corridor. Power.
McIntosh is playing like a ruck rover at the moment for North.
He's almost playing like Adam Goods. Simpson, Power, Gibson, Short pass. Wells, good man to give it to. He could kick it from there. Let's just set it up.
That's just the difference at the moment. The finishing skills. All the senior players now, as you talked about, Liam, 3 or 4 minutes ago, the hard, gut-busting running. A lot of these younger players from Melbourne haven't been through 6, 7 pre-seasons like the North Melbourne team.
Wells' season last year was outstanding. Every number was up except his goal kicking. He kicked 6-11 last year, and it is part of the game that he's got to work on. All the key performance indicators way up for Daniel Wells in 08, but you can't be a 30% goal kicker.
Dual premiership ruckman there, Corey McKernan walking the Brownlee line with Hamish McIntosh.
Fist from Power, he rakes it free. Gibson dives in to McMahon. Throws it out, Harding. Another possession. Wells let it slip, but it plays in his favour. Not 15 as you heard. Power. And there's that long kick forward. Hale forced under it a little. Free kick. Crowd not happy. Hale to take it.
Been outstanding, Warnock, today on Hale. Hale hasn't kicked a goal, and you'd take that any day of the week. Halfway during the last quarter, he's only had the one behind, David Hale. Hasn't taken a mark.
He made that hand on the back so obvious. Really didn't do that much. To the letter of the law, it's a free. And this could break their back.
Just a couple, man.
Speaking of goal kicking,
Thank you.
David Hale, outstanding with his accuracy last year. 37 goals, 19. And that puts Melbourne on the canvas.
Well, big blokes like Hale, you're right. He's had his colours lowered today as a key forward against Warnock, but as soft as that looks, it's in the rules. You put your hand in the middle of someone's back, you're asking for trouble. But it's the height at the end of the game when you're getting tired. The height starts to go into your mind, Spud.
I wouldn't surprise Hale coming off the ground. He has 2 or 3 minutes off, then give him a run in the ruck. Get him a run around the ground. He's been well beaten today by Warnock. There we see Hale on the bench. I wouldn't be surprised, as we talked about, that he just spends a couple of minutes and maybe give him a run around the ground, get some ball use into him, but the ball hasn't come out lace out today to him, so have a running around the ground for 10 minutes would be good for his fitness.
Free kick out of the middle. Brock McLean held.
Just on David Hale, boys, they're a bit worried about his hamstring down here. That seems to be the concern for him.
All right, I'll give you a bit of advice, Colby. If it's this time in the game, everyone's tired, we don't want another one from Thursday night.
No,
Keep
Miller
him
takes
off.
the mark. Different doctors, different theories, perhaps.
Yeah, they're the hamstrings getting worked over there by the North Melbourne trainers.
There would hardly be a player on the ground at the moment that wouldn't have a tight hamstring or a tight calf. This first game in a warm day takes a fair bit out of you.
This kick will give them some hope. And he's missed to the near side. So 26 points the margin. We're virtually halfway through this final term. 13 minutes gone, 11 and some time on left. Hansen. He's got Harding. Hits him. And he hits him and allows him to run. Simpson about to get hunted down by Warnock. Gibson. Back to Harding, who got up. And now they don't argue on Warnock, and they're away. Wells, he's got a short and he's got a long. He goes the long, inside 50, Zeeble, off hands. Thomas kicks around the body. It's all about the float. Hits the post.
Great play. What about the tag on the ball from Zeeble? I know he didn't mark the ball, but Dean Laidley will be absolutely wrapped. There's Zeeble there. That's in the marking contest. That was fantastic. Didn't mark the ball, but he opened up a path for his crummers.
Well, he's not a young player that's used to playing against boys. I mean, he did play a lot of school footy and under-18 footy. He's also played against men. And he's got the body that you think he's going to have a pretty decent first year. He's been good on debut.
Yeah, senior football for Wodonga when he was 15 years of age, Jack Zeeble. Now, you need to have some inner strength to do that.
It's a good competition, good country comp, the Ovens and Murray.
And you get tested out nice and early when you're 15 playing in the bush.
Oh, yeah. Probably more so than he did in the under-18 comp last year.
A couple of old stages there, about 35, a couple of railway workers just saying, hang on, young fella.
Just slowing down a little bit, we'll catch up.
There's a 50 here. Ferrito will be brought within range. And they're on their deathbed now, Melbourne. They've been gallant, but they've been driven into the dirt slowly by North Melbourne's precision.
It's been the experience factor in the end.
Yep.
Just held sway. And you'd expect that.
It's a 50 against Johnson there, which running through the mark. Hasn't had a great last quarter, Big Paul.
This could end up being a big win. 27 points now, add another 6. It's out to 33.
The last thing Melbourne players need to do is drop their bundle. I think they've been very competitive for 3.5 quarters. Dean Bartley talked about it before the game, just to make sure they play every quarter on its merits. The last thing they need is a blowout. And you expect inside stage of development, North Melbourne versus Melbourne, North Melbourne, this scoreline to be that. But at the moment, Melbourne desperately need to find something here just to finish off the game and be competitive.
Good goal for Michael Ferrito, given that from his last 9 shots, he kicked 1 goal 8. He'd be happy to have slotted that one.
He would have been back in the back line if he had missed that one, Dwayne, I think. Midfield out.
From the ball up, North Melbourne are home. Tie up, Neville Jetta going nowhere. But they've at least debuted a few players, Melbourne, that might have long futures. Kyle Chaney's been outstanding. There's Jetta on screen. Jake Spencer in the ruck's been very good. Of course, Jamie Bennell has been playing in defence for much of the day. This is the biggest margin of the game, 33 points. You have just joined us. Scores will level at quarter time. North Melbourne by 7 points at half time. Only by 14 at 3/4 time. But it's blown out.
This is where a player can really have a dominant game. In these last 10 minutes, a lot of the players think, OK, the juice is out of the game, but if the real quality players I'm talking about and the leaders say, no, I need to run this game right out for next week and the week after.
Play on.
The ball up, Power to half forward to Wells. Got his skates on. At one stage was never going to get near that, and then changed down a gear.
He's McIntosh again.
And he slips inside 50. He's perfection with Wells's foot and McIntosh from 35.
He's worked so hard, Big Hamish, today, and the quick kick and just reading the game so well, Daniel Wells. And I reckon after his last tired kick, he's probably thought, I'm going to probably battle a bit to make the distance. So, but Big Hamish pushed into the space, and he's going to end up having a game where he's going to have 20-plus touches. He could end up with 4 goals, and that's a great result from a bloke who, let's be honest, he's been under a bit of pressure, Big Hamish.
Wobbler off the boot, inside of the post. He's still got 3.
We talked about him potentially being traded. I don't think it was ever up for trade, but I think that was just to probably put the wind up a few of the players at North. But he is responding at the moment.
To respond like that, maybe put them all on notice at the end of the year.
McDonald, Warnock, danger here again for Melbourne. And McDonald finds Bennell, one of those first gamers. Short, Morton, it's got Rivers. Rivers takes the mark.
This is where Paul Johnson, the ruck, needs to work hard for Melbourne, because Melbourne have got the ball now.
It's been good, Harding. He hunted Jones down there. His eyes lit up, Lee Harding. He's had a 24 possession afternoon. He's had a few tackles as well.
He's kicked a goal. What a turnaround in his form. Since he had a knee reconstruction, he was commonly known as a small forward.
Turtle, they used to call him. He looked a little slow early.
And he was fairly inaccurate in front of goal.
Yeah. I think he kicked 1 goal 8 one afternoon early on in his career. But he has been a gem at halfback today.
Well, sometimes young players that sit in the forward pocket, all of a sudden they forget how hard they've actually got to work to play league footy. They think that if they kick a couple of goals.
Little push by Hale.
Two actions.
Warnock's kick, sorry, Liam.
They half become lazy and they half think about kicking goals only. And it's only been the last few years that we've seen defensive pressure from these small forwards, and you can go through most teams. That's a poor kick.
Harvey almost cut it off. Jetta has made it okay.
And it was probably Aaron Davey who started it all. And you saw it with Campbell, and every side's got them now. But once he went to half-back, Harding, he hasn't looked back as a player.
Bate to Spencer, to Jetta, to Jones. And they've got players on the open side here. They really should make a goal out of this. McLean, the bounce, runs to 50, kicks to Johnson. Well worked.
That was good play from Brock McLean. Could have blazed away late in the game, but play the percentage football. Looked in, that was the key there. It was a beautiful ball win from Nathan Jones. You see McLean here gather the ball. He could have blazed away, open goal. Has a bounce, has a look in. Selfish play.
A tough day at the office for Paul Johnson. Good kick off the boot. Gets some icing for his game.
He worked well then, Paul Johnson. We've been a little bit critical on the work that McIntosh has been able to do. That's looking again at Nathan Jones. It's just terrific. And you're right, Brock McLean, he probably could have had every right, and you can see the pressure coming in from Harding here, but he had every right to have a shot, but it was a good little chip up to Johnson.
But it was good play from Johnson. He then got one back on McIntosh. He worked hard forward of the ball when Melbourne had the ball. That's good play.
And the two men you talk about, Danny, are back in the middle. McIntosh and Johnson.
Goal-kicking ruckman. That's what we want to see.
They go at it. McIntosh down to Swallow, caught way high. Any higher, he would have been missed completely.
Well, Andrew Swallow has been pretty solid this afternoon, and we know he's nice and hard. He's took him 17 touches, but he really was only a late replacement for young Liam Anthony, who got a stress fracture. So when you've been out of the side, you know you've got to play to your very best to keep your spot, and he's been pretty good.
Swallow to Pratt, to Power, back to Pratt. Yeah, Swallow's from East Fremantle, and the reason Fremantle didn't recruit him is because their coach at that time, Chris Connolly, thought his skills weren't that flash. And of course, Chris Connolly's now in the Melbourne coaching box, coaching against him today. And Swallow has been outstanding.
I can assure you now, Dwayne, that his younger brother's a star as well.
Okay.
Absolute beauty.
We'll go in the top 4 or 5 bowl reports, Pickers.
No doubt about that. Next year's draft, though, Sputter, not this year.
Yep.
Simpson slips it to Harvey. The old firm. Harvey's kick marked by Green. Not 15. Johnson.
This is better from Johnson.
23 minutes gone, final term. North Melbourne have the 4 points wrapped up. Good effort from Pettit. Johnson. Jetta. Poor kick. McIntosh back into the corridor. Knocked it down, made it tough for Harvey. Almost knocked it straight to Jones, didn't know he was there. Jones got a kick away. But again, North Melbourne with the numbers. Scott Thompson gobbles it up.
Liked his game today.
He hasn't made a blue, Scott Thompson. That's what you want from your defenders. The mid-range defenders, he's 188.
Wearing Lee Brown's old number 16 this year, Scotty Thompson. Pratt. Simpson. Strong hands.
That's terrific running by Simpson, though. He would have run 50 metres to make space there.
Get the impression they're enjoying this at the moment, North Melbourne. Simpson's kick poor, though. Jetta. And that's poor. Scott Thompson, just to try and emphasise the point, gets another possession. Urquhart. And he has Hansen free on the wing if he wants him. Hansen peels off, but almost into traffic. So the longer kick finds Wells.
Good play from Drew Petrie there.
He knew Wells was in the right position, so he cut his man off. McDonald with the one hand, Gibson with two, gave to Power, Pratt, Gibson, Pratt. Just wobbles a drop punt to full forward. Petrie's down there.
Been hold.
He got the free for a hold.
Yeah.
Garland not happy. Petrie, it almost seems as if his efforts for the whole day have justified him getting a lucky one.
Oh, Garland's face there was priceless. What else can I do here? He's bigger than me. I don't reckon that was a free kick. I don't know.
Did he pay the mark?
No, he's sort of got an arm across him.
Oh, yeah, that's a mark.
I think he's paid the mark because I looked at the umpire and he never went high with his shoulder. I think he's dead set paid the mark.
We've robbed Petrie of a screamer there.
Well, another look.
And they're enjoying this now, North Melbourne.
Well, another look at that then, Danny.
Well, I'm just having a look at the champion data stats here, Pickers. And Drew Petrie has just been awarded a contested mark.
Okay.
He had one before that, and now he's got two. So champion data agree with us up here, and the umpire, yeah, I think he just got his arm underneath it. And it was a good play from Garland. I think Garland and Warnock have played really well on Petrie and Hale today. 2 goals between them.
And unfortunately for Melbourne, this could end up in a 6-7 goal win.
Watching the game, though, it's not a 6 or 7 goal win. It's only the last 10 to 12 minutes. I know in the letter of the law, in the stats book, it'll show that.
Andrew, thanks,
But
mate.
what it won't show is the desire and the effort of the youngsters from Melbourne, the competitiveness nice and early.
They did do this in the NAB Cup. 3 competitive quarters against Hawthorn.
No, in the
Had a
side.
chance to win the game. Couldn't wrap it up in the last quarter. And North Melbourne was certainly outplayed them with skill, precision.
Cheers, mate.
And Melbourne have almost ground themselves into the dirt with their turnovers.
There's Daniel Wells there. They're playing him as a centre-half forward. All the other North Melbourne forwards are playing deep to try and isolate Buckley.
Look at that play on.
Maloney trying hard. He's had 30 possessions today, Brent Maloney. Urquhart. Ferrito with a couple to beat here. Tough ball. Buckley. Green. Ferrito couldn't beat the two of them. Green short to Bruce. Buckley. Tracked down. Got a handball back. Bruce again. And it's casual. No one came at him. Sends it forward, Urquhart. Easy chest mark.
Right there, Neville.
Switch the ball here, North.
So some North Melbourne players looking for a couple of stats to finish the day off. Harding, this will be number 26 for him. Smith
Thanks, Tom.
hasn't had a big day at the office, but done the job for a guy playing game number 3. Josh Smith.
Play on. Still, mate.
Petrie, good fly, big pack. Warnock, Bartram, Jones, Buckley, Morton.
Right there. Play on.
We'll have to go sideways here because down the corridor you've got 12 North Melbourne players.
Pettit,
All queuing up for a quick kick into that forward line.
McLean long. There's the bomb.
4-on-1.
Here's what they were waiting for. And they've got players at the spillage, but Jetta beats them there. He kicks it high and not around the body enough. Out of play on the full from the boot of Neville Jetta.
He'll learn from that. He had a little bit more time than he thought there, and just the pressure of AFL football.
Cousin of Essendon's Leroy, of course.
There's been enough there to suggest he's going to be a very good player.
Power. And now Harding. 1 minute left on the clock. Lachlan Hansen limping a little. Not good news for him. Bit of pressure on him this week when it was revealed the Kangaroos recruiters didn't really want him. They wanted Joel Selwood, but the doctors overruled them. Everybody wants Joel Selwood back. They had that draft again.
Yeah, we're all great in hindsight.
Oh, yeah. McMahon gives it to Hansen, and he hobbles his way to a possession. Thompson. And now Pratt can go here. 30 seconds left. Time enough for another score. Pratt looks forward. He's got Wells. Good kick. Wells had an arm slapped.
He had a good last quarter as a key forward.
Well, he has, and they've identified a little bit of a weakness there with Bartram. He's no centre-half back, Lint Bartram, and all Wells needs is space, and Dean Laidley's been able to fabricate that, so it's good coaching there from Dean Laidley.
Thinking he was going to be outside of his distance.
Maybe was told the clock's running down, have you shot? No, obviously not. Didn't know how long left. Centering kick. And it's all incidental now for Melbourne because North Melbourne ticked the first box. A round 1 win against last year's Wooden Spooner. It was a tough one for them. but it was a box they certainly had to tick if they're to be a finals contender again this year. And who knows, North Melbourne might surprise again in 2009. 34-point margin, 15-11 101 to 10-7 67.
Workmanlike win from North Melbourne, Pickers. For 3.5 quarters, Melbourne were very competitive. The ball use under pressure hurt them late in the game, but we probably went to this game today thinking that would be the margin. But after looking at it in entirety for 4 quarters, I think the scoreboard doesn't flatter Melbourne enough for mine. It's enough for North Melbourne. And we'll head down to Lee Colbert with one of the stars for North Melbourne, Lee Harding.
He was a star, Turtle. Mate, it was a tough day at the office. They made you work for it for your 4 points today.
Oh, definitely. They just wouldn't go away. So we got a couple of goals there in the last quarter, and it's sort of, as you see in the games, everyone's sort of out on their feet in the last quarter, so you can't really get much of a run on the last. So we sort of got 3 or 4 in front. We could hold them, which was good. You've
come back. You've had a knee reconstruction. You went to the back line last year, and now you find yourself in the midfield. It's been an amazing turnaround.
Yeah, just another challenge, you know. I've looked forward to it every time. Obviously, come back from the knee was pretty hard, and then, you know, Dean threw me back, and that was a good challenge. And now we got Rocky in the midfield, and he's throwing me in the midfield. So each week's a good challenge, and I look forward to being more in there in the middle of the year.
You're able to turn the game yourself because 6 minutes 15 in that third quarter, you smothered the ball in the middle of the ground here. And then the remarkable thing about it was, got it onto Simo, and he actually got one to spin and kicked the goal.
Yeah, well, I think it was a bit of a... I was probably more of a front punt from 50, which floated through. So, yeah, it was good by Simo. We sort of needed a goal there, and we delivered, yeah.
28 touches yourself. Well done. 4 points. Go and enjoy.
Thanks, Colby.
They'll be real happy with Adam Simpson will be happy with that. One former teammate and one current teammate talking about his drop punt ability. But you're right, I think Dwayne summed it up really well. It was a real workmanlike performance as far as they got the job done in the end, and it's just a box they had to tick. They just couldn't afford to drop round one against a side that is young, a side that's going to be down near the bottom of the ladder. I think everyone knows that. Melbourne were full of credit this afternoon. They tried really hard. In the end, the class of North Melbourne got them over the line. Lee Harding, great game. I mean, his effective disposal were up around 80%, and he worked hard both ways. I just think that to get a win like that, even though it was against a side that, as I say, is not expected to do a lot come finals time, without the real massive impact of Brent Harvey, only had 16 touches. It was a great effort. North Melbourne, they'll be very happy to get away with a 5-goal win.
Every North Melbourne fan happy with round one. 34-point win to the Kangaroos.
Professional outfit, North Melbourne are, and they got over the top of the Demons in the end by 34 points. Pretty tight all day. Margin was at 14 points at three-quarter time, but they were able to get away and win by 5.5 goals. As we look at the major possession winners, McIntosh had a terrific game for North Melbourne. 3 goals, had 21 possessions as well. Petrie was good. Thomas was outstanding. Lee Harding with 28 possessions was terrific this afternoon. And for Melbourne, Brad Green was good, and Maloney with 29 possessions. But let's get straight down the rooms where Lee Colbert is interviewing his former coach, but the current coach of North Melbourne, Dean Laidley.
Lades, you'd be pleased because the expectation before the game was you would win, but they really threw it down to you all game.
Yeah, look, you know, so they should. Their pre-season's been fantastic, and we've been watching them very, very closely, and they've improved enormously. And to walk away with a 30-point win, you know, I thought our boys, you know, the further the game went, really got their run and momentum, and you know, had some terrific efforts across the board. So to get a win like that in round one, no injuries, really pleasing.
We spoke to Lee Harding after the game. We thought his game was outstanding. He's played as a forward. He's gone and had a knee reconstruction. You put him down back, and now he's a midfielder. It's been an extraordinary turnaround for him.
Yeah, look, it has. And, you know, I take my hat off to Lee. Just the way he's matured over the last 2.5 years. He's had some, you know, personal tragedies, and, you know, I'm not talking about his knee. And to see the qualities he's now displaying are first class. And I thought him and probably Hamish McIntosh were, you know, really outstanding for us.
Hamish, in particular, got forward of the ball a couple of times. Good play. He actually made good position and then was able to capitalise with his goal kicking because he is a skillful player.
Yeah, he is. And, look, he was able to do that because he was fit. And we didn't see him fit last year. And, I know a lot of stuff happened with him in the off-season, but maybe that was just the medicine he needed.
We spoke about the forwards and the centre line, but your defence now with Scotty Thompson, he did a great job down there. If him and Hansen can hold up, it gives you that flexibility to allow the likes of Gibson and Ferrito to push up the ground at times.
Yeah, and look, and that's what we do, and that's what we've decided. We're basically going to, continue to change the midfield mix, and we did that throughout the day. There was probably 13 or 14 went through there today, and I thought Swallows' first game back was outstanding. So, he was initially left out of the side, but to come back in and play a game like that, I thought was great.
One win, well done.
Thank you.
Lee Colbert there with Dean Laidley. He'd be pretty happy with that win in the end. They took it right up to the Melbourne this afternoon. Interesting comments with Hamish McIntosh. Got himself fit, and maybe that bit of off-season scrutiny might have been the medicine he needed.
There's a little bit of a wry grin there from Dean Laidley. There's no doubt, you take that personally a little bit. You say it's not, and look, that's the nature of our game. Your name comes up at trading time, and to Hamish McIntosh's credit, he's returned serve with an outstanding performance. And look, he's a North Melbourne boy through and through. And it's an unsavoury time, that week of trading, and your name gets thrown up. But I'll tell you what, Dean Laidley was driving home tonight saying, well, that justified. And he said there he wasn't fit enough last year, and obviously he's fit enough, and he's kicked 3 goals. You see the boys there, they're spent in the rooms. He's kicked 3 goals, and he ran the game right out. So to have 3 goals from your ruckman is an outstanding game.
And we saw him doing it at both ends throughout the course of the game as well. Let's have a look at the highlights now from what was an actually entertaining game this afternoon. Melbourne were terrific early, but so were these two boys. Thomas and Campbell were great.
Look, they ran all over the ground because they ran Melbourne off their legs with their ball carrying, their bouncing. Their connection between each other is outstanding. They both start in the half-forward line, and today Dean Laidley did something different. One of them just floated back behind the ball, then ran it in, then they'd swap over, and they not only kicked goals, but they create a lot of pressure. We saw Aaron Davey. I thought his game was very good also. Bit of an A-grade bounce there for the Melbourne boys. You see Sam Power kick the ball in there to Brent Harvey. Look, he tried hard, Brent Harvey, but Bartram did a good job. Young Jetta, first gamer, kicking his first goal in league football, getting around all his teammates also.
Well, this is some of the stuff we saw from Hamish McIntosh this afternoon. That was forward. He pushed back late in the game and took a really strong contested mark, and then got on the end of a couple as well. Thought Brad Green was pretty good again this afternoon. He seemed to have taken his game to another level. Daniel Wells, every time he got the footy, something positive happened. He got it about 20 times as well.
Yeah, look, I thought he was outstanding. I thought his ball use was terrific. And that, in the end, was the reason why North Melbourne won. Yes, their experience, but just the inexperience of Melbourne. Under pressure, fatigue set in, and they just started to turn the ball over. They had more possessions than North Melbourne. It was just the quality disposal of some of these situations here. And this game was in the balance at that stage, and Adam Simpson, that to me was just about the sealer for the Kangaroos.
And there's Big Hamish kicking his 3rd goal, and you're right, game over pretty much from that stage. It was a good effort this afternoon. There's another game going on at Amy Stadium at the moment. It's in progression at the moment, and let's have a look at the score. Port Adelaide and the Bombers. I like Port in this game. Danny, are we on the right track? Yeah,
I think so.
Points.
Yeah, well, Stanton's had a goal there, and McPhee. No Lloyd or Lucas on the goal scorers. So to have 3 goals on the board without your 2 key forwards having a kick on goal, shot on goal, is a pretty positive sign for the Bombers also.
You've got so much pace, Port Adelaide, at the moment, as we see Brent Harvey just having a bit of a stretch. Not a major impact from Harvey this afternoon, which is probably a positive for North. They've become so reliant on him playing well.
Yeah, look, it is, and Bartram did a very good job. Also, the fact that Hale and Petrie didn't have a great game in front of goal. They only kicked the 3 goals between them. So I think Dean Laidley would take something out, but also Dean Bailey. I think he would take a hell of a lot out. He would have learned a lot about his team today. Again, they were competitive for 3.5 quarters. Just had to seal the deal in the last 15 minutes.
Don't go anywhere because before too long we'll be going across 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. Fremantle versus the Western Bulldogs this afternoon. But here at the MCG, it was the Kangaroos in the end by 34 points.
Fox Sports production.